Lawsuit was quietly settled with a former D.C. police sergeant who claimed she was punished for speaking out about pressure to misclassify violent crimes as lesser offenses.
That's Fox's Alexandria Hoff. Now, Attorney General Pam Bondi has appointed the DEA administrator to be Washington's acting police commissioner. But both the D.C. Attorney General and Mayor Muriel Bowser call that unlawful and say they are not legally obligated to follow that order. A setback for the Trump administration in court. A federal judge in Maryland has blocked two actions the Department of Education took that she says violated the law, threatening to cut off federal funding from schools and universities that do not eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. America's listening to Fox News.
Stay on top of the latest forecast with America's Weather Team in the palm of your hands.
Here's the latest from America's Weather Center.
It's Fox weather updates throughout your busy day, every day.
That heat's going to be out there for one more day.
Temperatures being 30 degrees above average.
Put the power of over 100 meteorologists and the worldwide resources of Fox in your hands with the Fox Weather Podcast. Precise, personal, powerful. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com. Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
Dozens of Texas Democratic lawmakers may soon return to the state. Some were praised in a call by former President Obama, who joins them opposing the congressional redistricting plan in Texas that the Democrats' departure had blocked a vote on. It could give Republicans 5 more House seats in next year's elections, and there is a blue state ready to counter that.
California Governor Gavin Newsom says a November 4th special election will provide a temporary pathway for new congressional maps.
We will affirm our commitment to the state independent redistricting after the 2030 census, but we're asking the voters for their consent to do midterm redistricting in 2026, 2028, and 2030 for the congressional maps.
Telling folks in Los Angeles this aims to
respond to what's happening in Texas, to respond what Trump is trying to excite.
Senator Adam Schiff.
If they're going to play with fire, we're going to fight fire with fire.
Redistricting is usually done every 10 years to reflect U.S. Census results. In Los Angeles, Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Well, as the governor was unveiling that plan in Little Tokyo in Los Angeles, there was an immigration enforcement operation he called pathetic. Right outside, dozens of Border Patrol agents were involved, and the commander says they were conducting patrols in the area and took one person into custody. A woman charged with murdering a Border Patrol agent early this year could face the death penalty at federal trial.
21-year-old Teresa Youngblood of Seattle is a member of the Zizians, a group of radical computer scientists focused on veganism, gender identity, and artificial intelligence. Members are linked to 6 murders in 3 states, and Youngblood is accused of fatally shooting Agent David Milan on January 20th during a traffic stop in Vermont. That's the day President Trump lifted the moratorium on federal executions following his inauguration. Tom Rigotti, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stock futures are rising before today's trading. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
Tee up for a cause at the Cure CMT Golf Challenge on Monday, August 18th at the beautiful Merritt Club in Libertyville, Illinois. Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease, or CMT, is a debilitating genetic disorder affecting peripheral nerves, leading to muscle weakness, sensory loss, and challenges with swallowing, breathing, and speaking. There's no cure yet, but your support can make a difference. For $5,000, your foursome enjoys 18 holes of golf, plus lunch and dinner, with check-in at 10:30 a.m. Your participation benefits the Cure CMT Foundation, funding vital treatments, surgeries, and research by biopharma companies to improve lives for those with CMT. Don't miss this chance to swing for a cure. Visit cure-cmt.org to register your foursome today and join thousands in the fight against CMT. Cure CMT Golf Challenge at Merritt Club. Play golf, change lives.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available, financing is flexible, and at Air Right installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Exclusive interviews, bold commentary, and behind-the-scenes insights into stories that the mainstream media won't cover. It's the Unshaken and Unafraid podcast with Joe Pags on the Salem Podcast Network.
You guys know better than anybody that you just can't compete on an equal level playing field with somebody of the opposite gender. It's just not fair. That's a fact.
Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect. Finished to impress.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for a cruise on Lake Michigan, Saturday, September 6th. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise.
It's August 15th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today's Check the Chip Day. You can head to the vet with your furry family member to make sure the chip that keeps your pet safe is still working properly. In 1969, the music festival Woodstock opens in a patch of farmland in upstate New York. The Who, Grateful Dead, Sly and the Family Stone, Janis Joplin, some of the groups to play, including Jimi Hendrix, who played the Star Spangled Banner. In 2017, former President Barack Obama's tweet in response to the deadly violence in Charlottesville, Virginia, became the most liked tweet ever. In 2019, Disney Studios is the first studio to have 5 films earn over $1 billion each in 1 year, with Toy Story 4, Avengers Endgame, Captain Marvel, Aladdin, and The Lion King. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Experience a luxurious summer when you visit Trump International Hotel and Tower, Chicago, a Forbes Travel Guide 5-star hotel. Take in stunning views of the Chicago skyline from the heart of the city, steps away from the iconic Magnificent Mile and the revitalized Riverwalk. Treat yourself to exquisite dining at Terrace 16 Restaurant and Rebar Lounge, overlooking the Chicago River and Lake Michigan. Catch the Navy Pier fireworks display from Terrace 16's patio on Wednesdays and Saturdays all summer long. Relax in immaculately designed suites that offer the utmost level of comfort. Refresh in the state-of-the-art spa featuring a 75-foot swimming pool, steam and sauna rooms, relaxation lounge, and more. The Trump Hotel Chicago offers sophistication and elegance to downtown Chicago and is a convenient travel destination for your summer getaway. Simply visit Trump Chicago online to make your reservations today and search offers to find the never settle summer stay. Book today.
You need a construction company, but who?
Paul Price.
Crosscom, a construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
It was a typical day. You were doing the usual, but then you met up with a friend at Weinstock Market and Lounge in Woodstock. Wow! The small town charm and turn-of-the-century building set the tone for a classic outing. Their charcuterie pleased your palate like you never imagined. The Chicago beef sandwich made your taste buds dance. And the hand-selected wines from small vineyards around the world, so perfect. All paired with amazing live music. Weinstock Market and Lounge changes your day from ordinary to extraordinary.
Weinstock Market and Lounge, voted McHenry County's best wine shop and best of Fox 2 years in a row. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 3 p.m. till 11 p.m. Live music on weekends. Open mic nights on Tuesdays. Enjoy the fresh baked pizza and Chicago beef sandwiches. Wine favorites from Italy, New Zealand, France, and California. And a full menu of handcrafted cocktails. Plan a trip to Weinstock Market and Lounge on the square in downtown Woodstock. Mention AM 560 and receive 10% off any purchase.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gay Vallis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
It's more than a backyard. It's a place where lazy afternoons turn into lively evenings, and simple moments become lifelong memories. Right at the center of it all, your deck, the stage for your best moments in everyday magic. But the outdoors can be tough on wood. Fading colors, weathered boards, and hidden damage creeping in. That's why homeowners across Chicagoland trust Deck Tech. For over 35 years, they've specialized in cleaning, restoring, and protecting decks, keeping them strong, stunning, and ready for every season. Deck Tech now offers 0% financing options for 21 months. Give that special someone the break they deserve with a Deck Tech gift card. Call 800-956-DECK today or visit restoreyourdeck.com. Deck Tech, helping Chicagoland homeowners enjoy the great outdoors for over 35 years. Enjoy your deck all season long with Deck Tech, the clean and seal professionals.
1-800-956-DECK. Call Deck Tech.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king-size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Be prepared for tax changes in 2025. Without a solid strategy, you could risk losing more of your hard-earned savings than necessary. VestGen Wealth Partners can help develop proactive tax plans designed to help keep more money in your pockets. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com for a free review.
Advisory services offered through VestGen Advisors LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and VestGen Advisors LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. VestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Jenny McGuire is the fresh, bold, unapologetic voice of common sense, constitutional values, and conservative principles. With her sharp wit, she'll tackle the issues that matter most: faith, family, and freedom. Join her and featured guests each week on the Unsafe Space radio show, heard Saturday evening at 7 right here on AM 560 The Answer. And follow Jenny on Facebook at The Unsafe Space with Jenny McGuire.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be hot with plenty of sunshine and some high clouds. The high will reach 92. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies, staying warm and humid with a low of 75. Tomorrow, anticipate a mix of clouds and sun with a chance of a thunderstorm. It'll remain hot with a high of 94. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and doing a quick stop, look, and listen at how the American electorate is receiving Trump's moves in the direction of public safety. This is, sort of particularly contemplates the first 6 months of ICE action, and also scrambling federal resources when lawlessness breaks out in places like Los Angeles in reaction to ICE's law enforcement activities of removing people in this country here illegally and with priority on those who pose a public safety threat, as has been well documented. Harry Enton, CNN's in-house polling soothsayer, has some updated data, and you can bet that if Trump is getting relatively high marks for his handling of public safety when it comes to immigration law enforcement activity, that he will be receiving similarly high marks with respect to local law enforcement that relates to mainly indigenous, domestic, violent crime, public safety threats. Here is Harry Enton providing the receipts.
Yeah, I think that Democrats have to get it around their heads that Americans are far more hawkish on crime than they think that they are. What are we talking about? Trump's net approval handling crime. Where was he last year? He was way underwater at minus 13 points views of term number one. But look at where he is now. He's on the positive side of the ledger. He's on the positive side at plus 1 point. Americans view Trump far more favorably now on crime than they did a year ago. And while this polling doesn't take into account what's exactly happening in D.C. right now, it does take into account what happened in Los Angeles, what's happened earlier this year. And Americans, for the most part, actually view Trump favorably. Crime is one of Trump's best issues. It's one of the reasons why he wants to talk about crime, because it favors him.
Right. And again, comparing it to last year when he was not president, minus 13. So that basically was just a referendum on what you think about Trump, and he's underwater by 13 points. Now it's what you think about Trump, and many people, center left, clearly, that are contemplated in that polling may not like him. They say, well, but I got to begrudgingly give him credit on this issue. Now, the professional agitators and agitproppers and propagandists are going to be reflexively anti-Trump no matter what he does, no matter what he says. But for those that may be uncomfortable with him and have been for the past decade, but they see what he does and they begrudgingly admit, it sort of makes sense. Compare that to where Biden was last year, though, too, in terms of all the upside and the appetite the American public had for somebody to do things that Trump has done and is doing in the absence of, frankly, local political authorities providing public safety.
Donald Trump is like Air Jordan towering over Joe Biden when it comes to their handling of crime. Look, in 2024, look at where Biden's net approval was on crime. Way underwater there at minus 26 points. It was one of Biden's worst issues. Granted, pretty much every issue was one of Biden's worst issues. And again, look at where Donald Trump is. Way, way, way above Joe Biden. What is that? That's 27 points. So Americans vastly prefer Donald Trump's approach to crime than they did to Joe Biden's. And again, I think it gets back to the point that Americans are far more hawkish on crime than a lot of Democrats want to admit.
Yeah, and Harry Enton's kind of entertaining. But far more hawkish and far more exasperated with their local and perhaps state-level political leadership than those same Democrats want to admit. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Speaking of admissions, it is really interesting to see people willing to step out and say things that are true now that Trump has made this intervention into D.C. And not from the usual suspects. I mean, just sort of admitting reality, which is something the left is sometimes, many times, oftentimes, almost always resistant to do. Wednesday's broadcast of NPR's All Things Considered, NPR, their national correspondent, Frank Langfitt, stated that in the Congress Heights area of D.C., some people he spoke to said, quote, crime is worse than the statistics show because some have given up reporting to police because they feel like a lot of crimes go unpunished. So that's one issue. And we talked about sort of cooking the books, sort of intentionally or unintentionally through crimes not being reported that occurred, not because it's being directed by police or local authorities, but because people are so fatalistic about the performance of their local authorities, they don't even bother. Langford, talking to people in the U Street area, and went across the Anacostia River to Congress Heights. It's among the poorest areas of the city. Vast majority of the population is black. And also the D.C. police say this is a part of an area with among the highest violent crime rates in the city. But unlike U Street, people in Congress Heights said crime is a really big problem there. Shootings, robberies, burglaries. In fact, some say crime is worse than the statistics show because many say they have given up reporting to police because they feel a lot of crimes go unpunished. And there was a general sense, he added, quoting NPR's reporting, general sense that any greater armed presence would be a good thing. Right. And this is something that even Elie Honig, CNN's legal analyst, who, by the way, is a J6 truther, as you'll hear him say, thinks Trump should have been charged criminally for his quote-unquote actions on January 6th. But so give that context. Interesting to hear from these quarters things like this. Elie Honig, again, having to admit reality, having to own his own background as a prosecutor and what law enforcement does in problem areas where they surge resources. There's purpose behind it.
I work in D.C. It is dangerous there. You cannot deny that. And a common police tactic is to surge resources. I've been we call them task forces. They're applauded across the board, across the political board. I've done it in New Jersey. I've done it in New York. You take the FBI, you team them up with the Newark PD, what have you. You make a visible presence. Now, is some of it for appearance and show? Yes, because what it does is A, it assures people. It gives people a bit of confidence and security, and B, it deters people from committing crimes. So it's not going to hurt, and this is a situation that needs to be improved. I don't see why there's and I also reject the January 6th. Look, I've been a 100% unambiguous critic of everything Donald Trump did on January 6th. I believe he should have been charged criminally. I believe the pardons were a disgrace. But why does that mean he can't do anything now to enforce the law to promote public safety?
Yeah, that's a tough question for the CNN panel to wrestle with, those on the left. But that piece about not reporting crimes, one is the stats, the management of the stats, and the other is again people not reporting crimes. I have a feeling that has application in Chicago. Juan, Southside, you're on Chicago's Morning.
Hey, Dan, thanks for having me on. Love the show. I just wanted to talk about the crime rate as well. I'm a construction worker, work all over the city, and this is the second time in 2 years that my work vehicle has been broken into. Yesterday being the most recent time, and we watched it on the video. My vehicle was parked in the loading dock and of the building, and these guys just pulled up. No problem, just pulled up. They went to my vehicle 2 different times before they decided to go ahead and break into the car and attempt to access whatever they wanted, I guess. And they just strolled in, strolled out. They didn't have any cares in the world. They did multiple laps around the block, as we saw in the videos. And this 2 times in 2 years, the car's been broken into. One time, all of my tools were stolen from the job site. And 2 of my other friends in the same trade were held up at gunpoint in the past 2 years. So we're just trying to do our jobs, and nobody's talking about the fact that multiple guys in our trade have been attacked on just walking from their parking spot to their job site. It's like the blue-collar person has been targeted as somebody that either has cash on them or has valuable tools, and we've been just nonstop. Like the union actually had to put like a blacklist on a certain area that you would consider, in most cases, a good neighborhood. But we actually they put a blacklist on it that we wouldn't work there unless they provided more security.
Interesting.
Because multiple people have been held up at gunpoint. And nobody talks about this at all. And this is what every blue-collar guy driving into Chicago, going to provide for their family, has to deal with every day.
Interesting. Sorry about that. Obviously, thanks for the perspective. One, did you report your the break-in to police?
Actually, yes, we did.
Because you need to for insurance, right?
Well, no. The company, apparently they seem to be so used to it that they didn't even require one because I guess basically because they didn't get any tools out of my car. But the the company actually has a window company, apparently on retainer. They were there with
standby, tactical team.
They were there within 30 minutes. The people came and fixed my window within 30 minutes of this happening. The police called 2 hours later. They returned the call and said, sorry, we were held up at something else, and we were just following up. So at least we were surprised that they even followed it up. And we're like, hey, please make sure this gets added to the crime statistics so that it's going to be accurate next time. And his only response was, my what do you call it, camera's on.
My body camera's on.
Yeah. So clearly you can't make a comment, but we can. Please make sure you add this to the statistics, please.
All right, Juan. Thanks for the call. Be safe at work there or on their way to work. All right, we're going to have more on this because Trump weighed in on D.C. again. And there's another aspect of what Trump's intervention implicates for D.C. that I don't want to give it away, other big urban centers may want to consider. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 69 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump is celebrating the 90th anniversary of the Social Security Act. Speaking from the Oval Office, Trump touted his efforts to protect and improve the program.
In the campaign, I made a sacred pledge to our seniors that I would always protect Social Security, and under this administration, we're keeping that promise and strengthening Social Security for generations to come. So today we celebrate that 90th anniversary of one of the most significant pieces of legislation ever signed into law, the Social Security Act of 1935, and we're going to make it stronger, bigger, and better.
He said he helped restore the program.
There's never been anything like it. The 4 years of Biden were very, very destructive. It couldn't have gone on much longer. Social Security was going to be destroyed.
He noted backlogs and long wait times at field offices on the phone have been addressed. This report is sponsored by Discover. Guess what? Discover's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. You heard right, 99%. If you don't think so, maybe it's time to face facts. You're stuck in the past. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report, learn more at discover.com/credit card. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But
your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Valdecast Windows and Doors, and by JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer.
This is a special notice to all U.S. taxpayers with back taxes to the IRS. Billions in tax relief is now being made available to struggling taxpayers, giving thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars in savings away to those who qualify. If you're facing wage garnishment, threatening letters, audits, liens, levies, or already in a payment plan, you can now expedite the resolution to your tax problem, end collections, and even qualify to reduce a large portion of what you owe. Stop IRS Debt has established a relief hotline for you to call to check what savings and options you qualify for. Dial 800-289-7203. With many people facing job loss and rising cost of living, these special IRS initiatives are designed to aid delinquent taxpayers with the relief that they need to get a fresh start. For a free consultation to see what savings you qualify for, call 800-289-7203. 800-289-7203. 800-289-7203.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just 1 light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be hot with sun and some high clouds reaching a high of 92. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with warm and humid conditions with a low of 75. Tomorrow, anticipate intervals of clouds and sunshine along with a thunderstorm as temperatures soar to a high of 94. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here talking about Trump's D.C. intervention and the left's demagoguery with it, dictatorial, authoritarian, all of the usual characterizations. There's a lot more people, and from really across the political spectrum, speaking out, if not in defense of Trump personally, in defense of Trump from a policy perspective. Interesting comment, too, from Cigar and Jetty. He's a co-host of a popular Inside the Beltway YouTube show called Breaking Points, political. He posted on X, I've lived in D.C. since 2010. It's gone downhill every year since 2014. Reasons why? Every year since 2014. That sounds familiar. That tracks. Not just with Chicago, but, again, with every major urban center. No prosecution leniency for juvenile offenders. Check. Yearly uptick in vagrancy and homelessness. Check. 2020 lockdowns nuked the urban centers. Check. MPD, Metro Police, has bled officers since BLM. Check. And this is interesting. Number 5. Legalization of weed. Check, 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 check. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Yesterday, Trump being asked about his plans for D.C., had this to say.
Half of the people here, maybe all of the people here, most of you live in D.C., you are petrified to go out. And you're liberal. And if you're liberal, you're going to have to change. You're Democrats. You're going to have to change your ways. So we will have crime under control very shortly in D.C., but they're record numbers. And sadly, what I guess the mayor did, but whoever it was, they asked the numbers to be fudged so that it would show less crime than the fact. The fact is, it's worse than it's ever been, and we will have it just like we did at the border, where with borders are totally in great shape right now, the best ever, record-setting shape. We'll have the crime situation solved in D.C. very soon. And
he mentioned the rigging the stats, as we were discussing, including with our friend Juan on his way to work this morning. A man went to prison for assaulting me. D.C. crime stats don't show it. Anna Giartelli writing in the Washington Examiner, this op-ed. 5 years ago, I was violently attacked and sexually assaulted in broad daylight in D.C. by a homeless man. He served time in federal prison for what he did to me, But if you look at the evidence that the attack happened in the city's crime statistics, you won't find it. The truth of what happened to me and the D.C. government's role in it is as much a public scandal as it is a personal trauma. D.C. police covered up the unspeakable wrong that the stranger did to me, even though a judge sentenced my attacker to hard time in prison. D.C. police leadership, and I would say political leadership, would rather deceive the public and appear less dangerous than list mine and countless of other sexual assaults on their website. Here's what happened to this young lady. She was walking out of her apartment on Capitol Hill on a Saturday morning in 2020 to mail a package, walking to the post office. Never made it. 1 block from my apartment building's entrance, I was attacked by a large man well over 6 feet tall. He charged at me for a reason I still do not understand. In broad daylight on a well-traveled 2nd Street Northeast next to Union Station, I fought to get away as he sexually assaulted me. If it had not been for others in the vicinity, including a construction worker named Donnie, who heard my screaming and ran to my rescue, I don't know if I'd be here today. Despite my background working with federal law enforcement, it was only through my experience as a victim that I personally learned 2 ways that D.C. police and the courts fail the public. Yeah, let's do fold in the courts here. My attacker was arrested on the street months later, pleaded guilty to a sex abuse charge nearly 2 years later. MPD's crime cards online stats page omits mentioning it, though. Do you know what that communicates to the victim, how invalidating it is? When I asked the Metro Police in 2020 why my incident wasn't on its crime map, a spokesman said the city only includes first-degree felonies under its crime stats. That would mean that for every person robbed, assaulted, or sexually abused in anything less than egregious ways, you have not been counted in the total tally. The pain you suffered was not severe enough, according to MPD standards. Or, you know, the prosecutors are trying to clear cases, and so they cut a deal because, as she said about this assailant, he got real federal jail time. So he's a convicted felon, but he committed a felony against this woman, but it doesn't show up in the crime stats. Lowest crime rates in 30 years. What does that mean? What does that mean to Miss Giratelli and so many others who are chiming in on this? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. She goes on to say, the D.C. police did do something right. The day of my attack, the police collected my clothes for DNA evidence. About 2 months later, they contacted me to say they had a match to the DNA of a homeless man who had been previously arrested. Of course he had been. And was roaming the streets. Police arrested him, but he was immediately released from jail by the judge who presided over the case. Of course he was. Because it's a big urban center. Here I was, a single woman who was attacked a block from my front door. Not jailing him until trial felt like a death sentence. How could I leave my home with him on the streets, living in a tunnel a few blocks from where I lived? I have thought about these failures by the police and the courts for the past 5 years, but I've not been sure how to bring attention to them. Right now, we have a rare chance to bring meaningful change. I've shared my story. Will anyone hear it and respond? She is now a Homeland Security reporter for the Washington Examiner after, I guess, a stint in the federal government. A lot of stories like that. Mary Kay, Western Springs.
Hey, good morning, Dan. You mentioned weed as being one of the last things that's happened since, before COVID. When did weed become legal in Illinois? Do you know?
Oh, gosh, it's got to be 4 or 5 years now. Right? Okay,
well, that's just great, so not only does mental illness come by, organically, people get mentally ill for all sorts of reasons, genetics being one of them, but the incidence of psychosis with people now is I heard the statistic and I was listening to, don't get mad, but I was listening to WGN, and they were talking about weed. And
you were listening for the farm reports from Orion Samuelson, or?
Well, I used to, and I used to like Orion Samuelson, but John Williams, who I really can't stand, but I have to listen to the left in order to educate myself on try to figure out where these people are coming from. And it's painful. It is. I don't like listening, but
Easy listening for octogenarians. No,
yeah,
I get it.
I know. Little gardening shows.
Yeah, of course. It's very nice. Very pleasant.
But the incidence of psychosis, he said something like it's up 500% or something crazy. And these kids, they're high all over. You see them, you smell it everywhere you go. It smells like skunk everywhere, and it's summer, so they're just getting high while they're riding their electric scooters all over Western Springs and Hinsdale and everywhere else. It's horrible. Maybe that's why they're popping wheelies down the middle of the street, because they think, they're so high, they think they're fine, But weed was a big one, that to contribute to the degradation of all these cities. I don't know where else it's legal in the United States. I know it's Colorado.
A lot of places, a lot of places, unfortunately. Thanks for the call, Mary Kay. And I'll just refer people to the work that Alex Berenson has been doing on the topic. We've talked about it on the show with him several times over the years. This is really where he rose to prominence, was talking about the heightened incidence of psychosis among young people who are heavy users of marijuana, an experience that his wife sees firsthand because she's an emergency room doc. This was before COVID, and he, turned his focus, as we all did, sort of, to all things COVID. But yeah, I would encourage people, if you want to learn more about it and some of the implications. And as Mary Kay said, the marijuana that has been legalized is not, your parents' or grandparents' Woodstock variety of marijuana. But check out Alex Berenson's book on the topic. Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, it's quite obvious that the books were cooked and that the standards were changed. So Congress needs to get these people under subpoena that did this, and then get an actuary to tell us what the actual real numbers are.
Thanks for the call, Joe. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan. I guess Reefer Madness 2.0 is not helping things.
That's what Cigar and Jetty says. That's right, and he's not the only one. Now, on the flip side, there are some detractors, of course, to this intervention by Trump. No less than Hope Walls. Hope Walls. She's trying to make her mark, join the conversation, provide the leadership that dear old dad does in the policy arena. Hope Walls, yes, daughter of Tampon Tim. She weighed in on this online.
Okay, so on the topic of book talk, as well as Trump's bitch baby wussy scaredy cat behavior in D.C., it got me thinking of a book I read in college. I think it was when I was at the University of Minnesota. It was Locking Up Her Own by James Foreman Jr., and it talks about what led to, arguably, you should also read the new Jim Crow and then go into this one along with like a million in between, but that's just 1-2, you kind of get it. But like modern mass incarceration of like black men, and it talks about DC and the war on drugs and how all of that led up to what we're now seeing. Also note the crime rate in DC is at the lowest it's been in 30 years. But this is a good book to kind of get like a larger viewpoint of this sort of stuff. And it's always been like one form of another of like the U.S. locking up people that aren't like rich and white and men. And like we're very much seeing that continuation go on. I would argue also with what we see with Trump, it's just like more of it. Yeah, go read that book. This was not worded very well, but
no, it wasn't.
It's a really good book. But start with the new Jim Crow, because that's just like the most basic level reading of that stuff.
She's a real chip off the old block. I mean, I will give her, some license here, consideration, because it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough to overcome Tim and what was his wife's name? Gretchen or something? Their parentage. Go read this book. Yeah. And by the way, the new Jim Crow is a completely fantastical, invented, identitarian, race hustling screed. There's no scholarship there. And this tired argument that Hope Walls makes, and so many on the left make, you want to use this as a tangent to go back and, ride their customary sawhorses. It doesn't stand up under any scrutiny. I would take Hope Walls' advice to go read Jim Crow 2.0, which I have in large measure, actually, and the Foreman book, too. And I'll challenge her to go look at the scholarship of Harvard economist Roland Fryer on the topic. And I'd love to get her response to that. Maybe we'll see if we can get her on the show. Dan in Salem, Wisconsin.
Mr. Dan. So what happened to your girl?
Yeah, that's been covered. You have to go back in the archives.
No, I know. Listen. This is what the Democrat Party has done. Pritzker has taken advantage of weak-willed people. Look at Chicago. It's gone. No wonder why there's so much crime. There's no more industry in Chicago. All you got is gangbangers and marijuana. And that's what the Democrat Party is offering the Democrats today. And if you want to be a Democrat, you Democrats listening, you're a dummy. Go with Trump.
Thanks for the call, Dan. It's not no industry. I mean, it's a little bit hyperbolic there, but no. But I mean, the Dems in these big cities run mob economies, government-centric mob economies. Gambling, weed, push to legalize prostitution, abortion clinics, and then the other sort of business clusters that are illustrative of a neighborhood or city in decline. I'll let you fill in those blanks. Pretty obvious if you've toured the city recently. Matt in South Bend.
Thanks for taking my call, Dan. I just want to make mention, too. I thought that I heard that the amount of National Guard troops going into Washington, D.C. was equal to those amount that are not available. Like they're short 800 police officers, whatever the hours. Obviously, they can tabulate that, but they're just filling in what they need right now. And that's appalling to me. I mean, if it's from COVID or anything else, it's shocking. And that anybody would be upset about that. They're just getting up to the level they need.
Thanks for the call, Matt. Something else, though, too, I teased. I did want to complete the tease, as it were. The intervention by Trump into D.C. has another implication. I think D.C. under federal control is not going to be a sanctuary city. Tom Homan said, now, because of this intervention, we're working with police hand in hand, and when we encounter a criminal, illegal alien, they will be turned over to ICE, and that's the way it should be. Police Chief Pamela Smith, that's Metro Police Chief, issued a memo whereby MPD officers can share information with ICE on illegal aliens not in D.C. custody and provide transportation for ICE agents and detained illegal aliens. Now, the memo still makes clear that D.C. officers are prohibited from holding criminal illegal aliens in a D.C. jail so that ICE agents can take custody, but at least there's more collaboration because of this intervention. You know, it's sort of like what Ellie Honig said, the CNN legal analyst. That makes a lot of sense. To surge law enforcement resources, this is customary. This is what you do. Usually it's universally praised and it's universally welcomed by those that are suffering under the endemic violent crime that is attempting to be addressed. Just not in this case, because it's Trump. And so here, more collaboration between federal and local, which should increase the peace too. Maurice Berwin.
Yeah, real quick, I've often said that lack of opportunity has no race or color. And as I told the screener, I just believe that people who aren't happy with their circumstances just switch from party to party. And I just saw a young lady who was a wheat farmer complaining about Trump and how they aren't happy. I recommend anybody check out what's happening with Nebraska. Those dudes are not very happy. And that's just your pocket of people who just run from party to party. And so you're going to have these people who just keep switching parties, and you're going to always have people where their circumstances never change. And so the Jim Crow things don't really apply. I mean, if people really know what Jim Crow was like, my parents grew up in a very small town in the South in 1940. If you really had to live under Jim Crow, you would really know it's pretty horrible, and it's very repressive. It's nothing like anything that anyone has seen before or experienced. But that's really what happens. People just go from party to party, and their life circumstances never change. If you truly vote your interest, your life actually moves forward.
Yeah,
that's my theory.
Okay, all right. Thanks for the call, Maurice. Phil, Maryville.
Morning. Besides my point, I'd say that woman that called liberal, she had to be the calmest liberal about Jim Crow I've ever seen. Usually they're screaming, but I think they need to bring back mental institutions, as bad as it sounds, but I think regulate it because, the crime skyrocketed back in the day when they started eliminating them. And, I drive a garbage truck in Chicago, and, you see everything in the city. Some of these people are stuck in their little hole of where they live, all these liberals, and they don't get around and see what's actually going on. I see it all, east side, west side, south side, north side. The chaos is just unbelievable. You see with all the people out here. I mean, there's good in everything, but they're stuck in their own little world. I mean, what was it, about 6 months or a year ago? One of our competitor garbage companies, two guys, you've probably seen it on the news, two guys tried robbing them with guns, and the garbage man took out a gun and shot them both in the head. So, I mean, it's never ending. These people got to smarten up. We need to fix it somehow.
Thanks for the call, Phil.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
This is Jerry Boyer for townhall.com. Conservative members of the State Financial Officers Foundation, from Utah Treasurer Marlo Oaks to Pennsylvania Treasurer Stacey Garrity and others, just sent a clear message to financial giants like BlackRock. If you keep attacking our energy industries, you can't do business with us. That's right. These red state financial officers are standing up for American industry and refusing to let woke finance dictate our future. This is a turning point. For too long, big asset managers have used their power to push radical climate agendas, hurting local economies and devaluing energy investments. But now, states are fighting back, defending their industries, protecting jobs, and restoring common sense to capital markets. Your values are finally being defended in the financial arena. No more silent surrender to ESG pressure. It's time to invest in strength, not ideology.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
AM 560, The
Answer. Coming up at 6:06, California Governor Patrick Bateman tries to get into the redistricting business, and Obama has a message for Texas Dems. It is now 6 a.m., AM 560 WIND.
The president is getting ready to go.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. To Alaska this hour, taking his push to stop the war in Ukraine directly to Russian leader Vladimir Putin.
I don't know that we're going to get an immediate ceasefire, but I think it's going to come. See, I'm more interested in immediate peace deal, getting peace fast.
President Trump told Fox's Brian Kilmeade radio show there is a 25% chance the talks fail, but if they succeed, he wants a second meeting with Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelensky and Putin to let them make a deal.
Today we may see something that hasn't happened since the last time Donald Trump was president before the Ukraine war. President Trump and President Putin standing side by side answering reporter questions.
Fox's Peter Doocy already in Anchorage.
There's been talk about land swaps, what Ukraine gets, what Russia gets, but this entire deal may ultimately hinge on rare earth minerals that exist beneath the ground here in Alaska. President Trump is expected to offer some kind of access in exchange for a ceasefire.
In the president's Washington, D.C. crime crackdown, he and Attorney General Pam Bondi keep pushing back on the police statistics showing a drop in violent crime the last 2 years. She tells Fox's Hannity.
An extremely divisive city council. You have liberal judges. You have no cash bail, as you said. You have juveniles running rampant over this city. And you have a Metro Police Department. They want to do their jobs.
Bondi's named the DEA Administrator Terry Cole as D.C.'s acting police commissioner, but Washington's Attorney General calls that unlawful. Democratic Texas lawmakers who left the state to block a congressional redistricting may return as the legislative session ends. They were praised by former President Obama,
calling the Texas Democratic lawmakers' actions, quote, inspiring after meeting with them via Zoom. Obama posting this quote, "I am so proud of the Texas House Democrats."
Fox's Chanley Painter. That redistricting could benefit Republicans in the next year's elections. America's listening to Fox.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It's 70 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Illinois is taking action to strengthen union protections in the state. Governor Pritzker yesterday signed a bill package that aims to protect Illinois workers and support organized labor.
This new state law means Trump can't take these rights away from Illinois workers. We're protecting Illinois workers from Donald Trump.
The package is designed to preserve current pay standards and worker protections against federal rollbacks from the Trump administration. The signing comes after FEMA joined several other federal agencies in canceling contracts with unions to comply with the Trump executive order, saying collective bargaining requirements no longer applied to many federal agencies. New leadership is taking over at the Chicago Sun-Times. Chicago Public Media announced that Kimbrell Kelly has been named editor-in-chief of the newspaper. She begins her position September 2nd, becoming the Sun-Times' first black editor-in-chief. Kelly previously served as an assistant managing editor and bureau chief at the Los Angeles Times and a reporter at the Washington Post, where she was part of a Pulitzer Prize-winning team. An Illinois judge is rejecting Texas's plan to enforce civil arrest warrants for the Texas House Democrats who fled to Illinois. The complaint was filed by Republican Illinois State Senator Jill Tracy on behalf of GOP Texas lawmakers earlier this month. The Adams County judge ruled that his court didn't have the jurisdiction to do what Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and House Speaker Dustin Burrows had requested. Texas Democrats fled to the state to obstruct a vote on redistricting. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
If you listen to the mainstream media and the Democrats, you'd think it was a sin to be black and conservative. Well, John Anthony blows up that perception every week on Black and Right. Join John tomorrow afternoon at 4 when he pushes back against the left and its regressive, progressive agenda that tries to dictate how people should think or feel about politics. Listen to Black and Right tomorrow afternoon at 4 right here on AM 560. The Answer.
FestGen Wealth Partners knows you're feeling the pinch of rising cost of living, and you are not alone. Potentially maximize your savings and get the guidance you need through times of uncertainty with a team at FestGen Wealth Partners. Get started at GetRetiredStayRetired.com.
Advisory services offered through FestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and FestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. FestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Michaela's Mobile Spa, Michaela! Michaela got a quick business insurance quote from Progressive and chose from over 30 customizable coverages. Sure, it helps she's her only employee and does literally everything, but while others would rest on their laurels, Michaela was hard at work saving big. So take that, hypothetical other employee who doesn't exist. Be your own Michaela. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.
Everybody is keeping an eye on the Fed and how an interest rate cut might affect gold prices. Gold has been hovering at around $3,400 an ounce for the last 2 months and is poised for dramatic growth with the next interest rate cut. When rates go down, returns on bonds follow, and that's why gold continues to be the safe haven asset of choice for smart investors. Are you protected? Don't wait until it's too late to profit from the back and forth from the Fed on interest rates. Right now, if you have a qualified IRA or 401k, you could receive up to $10,000 in free gold and silver when you open your retirement account with Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000 now or visit AdvantageGold.com and get your free gold IRA guide and find out how much bonus gold you qualify for. Call 800-900-8000 to qualify for your free $10,000 precious metals bonus when you open your qualified gold IRA with Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000 now. Performance may vary. Consult with your financial and tax professionals before making investment decisions. Call 800-900-8000.
Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens, inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes, outbound 13 minutes. On the Kennedy, inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 10 minutes, outbound 10 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 13 minutes, outbound 14 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 19 minutes, outbound about 15 minutes. On the Dan Ryan, inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 13 minutes, outbound 10 minutes. Traffic is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. That's 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now I check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be hot with plenty of sunshine and some high clouds. The high will reach 92. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies, staying warm and humid with a low of 75. Tomorrow, anticipate a mix of clouds and sun with a chance of a thunderstorm. It'll remain hot with a high of 94. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and just a postscript on the discussion of D.C. we were having in the first hour. The guy who slung a Subway sandwich at a federal agent on the streets of the Capitol this week has been identified as a former Justice Department worker. Of course he worked for DOJ. He worked for DOJ, and he doesn't have the impulse control to resist from throwing a sandwich at a federal agent in protest. He's been arrested, 37-year-old, facing felony assault charges for the sandwich strike, fired from his job at DOJ. That would seem appropriate. If you can't help yourself from assaulting a federal officer with a sandwich or some other foreign object, then you probably shouldn't be working at the Department of Justice. Pam Bondi making the point, if you touch any law enforcement officer with the turkey sub or whatever, we'll come after you, and that's exactly what they did. I raised that just because of these comical blue state governors, like our very own Jelly Belly, Babylon Bee, reporting that J.B. Pritzker has now applied to join the Metropolitan Police Department in D.C. in the hopes that somebody will throw a sandwich at him. Hi-oh. All right, very good. Speaking of ridiculous, cartoonish governors, Gavin Newsom, a.k.a. Patrick Bateman, he had a big event yesterday. He's got a big plan that takes the form of a so-called Election Rigging Response Act. He's calling on state lawmakers to approve a ballot measure in November, because that's how California does everything, by plebiscite, that would allow for a new congressional map to fight back against the election rigging going on in Texas. Oh, and that was a bit interrupted, I guess, that big show of power that the California Marxists made by an ICE raid. Perfect. And Karen Bass, not in Ghana, apparently she was available for this press conference, very upset about it.
Not believe that this just happened to be a coincidence.
There is no way this was a coincidence. This was widely publicized that the governor and many of our other elected officials were having a press conference here to talk about redistricting, and they decided they were going to come and thumb their nose in front of the governor's face. Why would you do that? That is unbelievably disrespectful. It's a provocative act. They're talking about disorder in Los Angeles, and they are the source of the disorder in Los Angeles right now. This is just completely unacceptable. This is a administration, this is a Customs and Border Patrol that has gone amok. This absolutely has to stop. There was no danger here. There was no need to detain anyone here. And there was certainly no need to have a provocative act right here where the governor is having a press conference.
No, please, yes. All deference paid to Patrick Bateman. Oh, yes. No one's above the law. Mayor Bass, you may have heard that. And, we can't schedule our law enforcement activities around politicians' press conferences, can we? I just love the indignation, the contempt. How dare you? We were having a press conference. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the underlying issue is really interesting because those flea-bagging Texas State House Democrats, I mean, I don't really think they understand the leverage in dynamic here between themselves and the governor. I'm talking about Greg Abbott. They had two demands. We're only coming back to the state to, fulfill the quorum requirement, come back and do our jobs. We're only coming back under two conditions. First, the House must adjourn its session on Friday as originally announced by the Speaker. Okay. Well, Greg Abbott doesn't care about that because he's immediately going to call another special session, so whatever. Sure. Second, the introduction of the California's redistricting maps, because that were introduced yesterday, or at least the measure to get them on the November ballot. Intro of California's redistricting maps to neutralize the Trump-Abbott voter suppression effort. So it's voter suppression in Texas, and it's the prevention of election rigging in California. The very same act. Amazing how it metamorphosizes, almost Kafkaesque, as the same act travels from Texas, bad, to California, saving our democracy. Magical. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Well, those fleabagging Texas State House Democrats, they got a very nice attaboy from the savior himself, Barack Obama. By video, he applauded those fleabagging Texas State House Democrats for their courage and warned in the most mundane, quotidian way, which is his way, the sophist he is, intellectual lightweight, intellectual pipsqueak Barack Obama is. But it's entertaining. Big news. Obama has weighed in on behalf of the Texas State House Democrats. Well, that's certainly settles that issue.
As what we all recognize is we can't let a systematic assault on democracy just happen and stand by. And so because of your actions, because of your courage.
There it is.
What you've seen is California responding, other states looking at what they can do to offset this mid-decade gerrymandering that is highly irregular and is not what we should be doing to balance out the maps for this upcoming election.
Yeah, couple of things, Mr. President. Number one, you're right. A lot of states are looking at this now in response. And a lot of states are looking at it in response to the response, too. Like, as we talked about a bit yesterday, Ron DeSantis in Florida. And he's trying to get the census. He thinks the census was rigged against Florida, and he did this. The state of Florida deserves another representative as part of their delegation. So he's trying to add another member of Congress from the Sunshine State, in addition to remapping, one-upping you there. So let's go. Let's do it. And in terms of highly irregular, I don't like the phrase highly irregular, Mr. President. I prefer outside normal modalities. Wasn't that your DNI? Clap on, clap off, James Clapper. Isn't that his phrase? Outside of normal modalities. Doesn't that sound better than highly irregular? Outside of normal modalities, to not share the basis of an intel assessment with the National Security Agency, for example. But we need this to be a team sport. Everybody on board. So we're going to operate outside normal modalities. Well, that's just what we're doing in Texas. That's just what Greg Abbott is doing. Operating outside of normal modalities. And then, of course, you have to make the appeal to saving our democracy. Because the appeal to saving our democracy, doing anything in the name of saving our democracy, gives you license to do it. And justify the means.
And I think we became a little bit complacent over the years. We assumed that things would continue to get better, that our democracy would become more inclusive, that it would become more fair, that we'd make it easier for people to vote rather than harder for people to vote, that the votes would be counted rather than suppressed. And what we forgot is that history doesn't always move in a straight line, and it's not always 2 steps forward and another 2 steps forward. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward and a step back.
Are you almost done?
And we're in a moment right now where not just gerrymandering, but efforts at voter suppression, efforts at questioning the results of elections, efforts at the executive branch unilaterally doing things
to folks,
bypass Congress and the people's representatives, militarization of cities.
Got a couple more buzzwords to get
politicization,
militarization,
our justice departments and
adjudication,
our military. Those are trend lines that remind us that this precious democracy that we've got is not a given. It's not self-executing.
No.
It requires us to fight for it. It requires us to stand up for
it. One of the great intellects ever produced by Western civilization. Comical. That guy I mean, talk about a guy who just, maybe not to some, but if you just remove the image that was built up in the public mind from the entire cultural landscape, all of the mediating institutions in our culture, to make this guy a savior, and actually listen to him for 5 minutes, he just does not wear well. He just does not hold up over time. What a bore. Unimpressive, unimaginative, uninteresting. He is not a thinker. But anyway, that's the rallying of the troops that's going on. Gavin Newsom's presser, J.B. Pritzker's posturing, and Barack Obama on a video call to Texas State House Dems. Boy, I don't think that's going to be enough.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Perhaps you're a collector, or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions. With their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions, they have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
My friend Paula just remodeled her kitchen. I feel bad. It's so bland.
Yeah. Everyone's using the same templated designs these days or just refacing cabinets.
Let's check out Forever Remodeling. They do full and custom kitchen remodels from the ground up, just for us.
It'd be nice to have a kitchen that's truly ours.
Exactly.
Don't get the same kitchen design as everyone else. Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
I believe in aliens, ghosts, and UFOs, but I don't believe you.
Huh?
I'm convinced the Earth is flat and the moon landing was faked.
Okay.
But when you say Hassleus Mattress don't have no employees, well, that's just crazy talk.
It's true. Hassleus Mattress showrooms are employee-free. Give our mattresses a try with no pushy sales guy.
Okay, sure. You probably think birds are real, too.
All I know is that our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393. Free next-day delivery, too.
Do these mattresses come from Area 51?
We're talking big names like Sealy Posturepedic and Beautyrest.
And who's supporting your operation? The Illuminati?
If you need support, through Monday, get a free adjustable base with any new mattress.
That's what the lizard people told you to say.
Save on Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, and more. And get a free adjustable base through Monday at Hassleus Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at hassleus.com.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here talking about, we were talking about the redistricting imbroglio and the new Marxists once again overplaying their hand, but former President Barack Obama weighing in with his pedestrian Save Our Democracy pap. And that implicates some other news that we've been discussing this week, which is the drip, drip, drip of Russiagate information being declassified. Greg and Schomburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Dan. Thanks for taking the call. 50% of America doesn't know about the Russiagate situation, and therefore the 50% of us that have known about it since 2016 through John Solomon, Sarah Carter, and Sean Hannity, and your show, we need to tell the rest of the country about what's going on, because this is the biggest conspiracy crime ever in American history. Thanks.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Well, to that point, we talked about clap on, clap off James Clapper's email exchange that was declassified by Tulsi Gabbard yesterday. We talked about it yesterday, in which Clapper tells Rogers, the National Security Agency head at the time, this is a team effort. Everybody needs to get on board with the Intel community assessment that was being redone at the behest of Obama. The other piece of information, the FBI concluded numerous legacy news media stories that crafted the false Russian collusion narrative contained illegally classified intel, but failed to definitively identify the leakers. Well, there's FBI memos related to the so-called Arctic Haze investigation into this alleged illegal leaking. And you remember at the time, at the center of that was FBI Director Jim Comey, using a friend of his who happened to be a law professor at Columbia University to get to the press what he couldn't formally or didn't want to. Daniel Richman admitted to agents in interviews he routinely communicated on behalf of Comey, his longtime friend, with New York Times reporter Michael Schmidt, whose work was among the newspaper's 2018 Pulitzer-winning stories on Russian election interference. Pulitzer-winning. The goal, Richmond told the FBI, Comey's friend, the Columbia law professor, was to, quote, correct stories critical of Comey, the FBI, and to shape future press coverage. The Columbia law professor admitted to agents that he was given access by Comey to what turned out to be highly classified information, and sometimes provided information to reporters on an anonymous basis. He insisted that he did not believe he had confirmed or provided classified intel to reporters, but said he could not be 100% certain. In the end, of course, Justice Department decided not to pursue any criminal charges against Comey or any of his lieutenants, or now Senator Adam Schiff, despite evidence of leaks, saying it could not be certain of who leaked what and when. But the FBI's interrogation of this Columbia law professor, as Greg from Schomburg just mentioned, John Solomon reports, the interrogation of this Columbia law professor Richmond and his admissions of contact with New York Times reporter Michael Schmidt, the Pulitzer Prize winning, provide pretty detailed account of who leaked what, when, and from where. And yet here was Jim Comey's testimony in 2017 under questioning from Chuck Grassley before the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Director Comey, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
Never.
Question 2 on relatively related. Have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
No.
Has any classified information relating to President Trump or his associates been declassified and shared with the media?
Not to my knowledge.
You testified before the House Intelligence Committee that a lot of classified matters have ended up in the media recently. Without getting into any particular article, I want to emphasize that, without getting into any particular article, is there an investigation of any leaks of classified information relating to Mr. Trump or his associates?
I don't want to answer that question, Senator, for reasons I think you know. There have been a variety of leaks. Well, leaks are always a problem, but especially in the last 3 to 6 months. And where there is a leak of classified information, the FBI, if it's our information, makes a referral to the Department of Justice, or if it's another agency's information, they do the same, and then DOJ authorizes the opening of an investigation. I don't want to confirm in an open setting whether there are any investigations open.
I want to challenge you on that, because the government regularly acknowledges when it's investigating classified leaks. You did that in the Valerie Plame case. What's the difference here?
Well, the most important difference is I don't have authorization from the department to confirm any of the investigations they've authorized. And it may be that we can get that at some point, but I'm not going to do it sitting here in an open setting without having talked to them.
So either Jim Comey was lying, or that Columbia law professor Richmond is lying. I think we know who's lying, and who lied under oath, and who was defrauding the American public for a significant portion, if not the entirety, of his tenure as the FBI director. Couldn't be more stark. And so now we have another interesting piece of the conspiracy puzzle, and we'll continue to cover and watch and wait patiently as Pam Bondi's strike force investigates this and see if they can put this together under something that can pass muster for criminal prosecution. But there is no doubt in terms of anybody who's paid passing attention to what transpired, and now all of the evidence that continues to support what, as Greg Schomburg said, a lot of people have been saying since the beginning, had intuition on it. We're getting indications of it. It was coming out in bits and pieces, but it was coming out in bits and pieces without all of this backstory, without all of these communications, and with the interference of these principals conspiring to lie under oath, potentially, but certainly conspiring to lie to the American people routinely. So it was complicated to sift through and persuade. There was always reasonable doubt, if you will. There's not reasonable doubt anymore. Coming up at 6:36, the ascendancy of the socialists. 6:36. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 70 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. More National Guard troops are patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C.
President Trump says it's about restoring order.
Crime is rampant in D.C. It's rampant in our generally blue-run cities, and they've got to do something about it.
The Trump administration has expanded anti-crime patrols in the nation's capital, turning the effort into a 24/7 operation. D.C.'s police chief also issued an executive order Thursday, letting officers alert ICE about undocumented immigrants, including during traffic stops. The White House claims that more than 100 arrests have been made since the president announced the federal takeover of the police department and the deployment of the National Guard. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
A Minnesota grand jury indicted Vance Belter on first-degree murder charges in the June 14th shooting that killed lawmaker Melissa Hortman and her husband. Belter is also accused of shooting and injuring State Senator John Hoffman and his wife. This state indictment follows federal charges filed last month, which could carry the death penalty if he's convicted. And Superman will start streaming today. The newer version by James Gunn made over $580 million at the box set and will start streaming on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and other platforms. News is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off of any service, including inspections. Don't wait for a heat wave for that old air conditioner to break down. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Valdecast Windows and Doors, and by JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
From the Team Hawkburg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens, inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes, outbound 13 minutes. On the Kennedy, inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 10 minutes, outbound 10 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 13 minutes, outbound 14 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 19 minutes, outbound about 15 minutes. On the Dan Ryan, inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 13 minutes, outbound 10 minutes. This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Need better sleep? On Labor Day weekend, upgrade to premium sleep at Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Let their sleep experts match you with the perfect bed and get the rest you deserve. They make sleep easy. Shop Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a quick check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be hot with sun and some high clouds reaching a high of 92. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with warm and humid conditions with a low of 75. Tomorrow, anticipate intervals of clouds and sunshine along with a thunderstorm as temperatures soar to a high of 94. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. The ascendancy of the new Marxists and the new Marxist Party. Let's stand to reason. But I think it still baffles some that I think there's this belief that there's some push and pull between some notion of DLC Democrats, from the Clinton era or even going back further, JFK Democrats, and trying to move the party away from some of those 80-20 issues where they're on the side of the 20. Big news when Tiny Dancer comes out on was it Megyn Kelly podcast and says there's a difference between men and women. Wow. So courageous. Real battle within the party. Controversial statement. But there really isn't much of a fight going on. These socialist Spice Girls and all their honorary members, the Eric Swalwells and the Sean Castons of the world, are ascendant. They are the center of gravity and the base of power in that party. It is a revolutionary Marxist party where identity has replaced class in terms of the Marxist structure of the argument. And so Senator John Kennedy, the always colorful senator from Louisiana, was on with Hannity to talk about this a bit. And he is colorful, but I don't think that he's got this exactly right. He's got a lot of it right, but just wait for it. The kicker is where I want to interject and see if you agree.
But that's not the defining characteristic of this crew. The defining characteristic of this crew, Sean, is contempt. To be a member of their club, you have to have contempt for America. Not gratitude, as you should, contempt. You have to believe that America was wicked when it was founded and that it's more wicked today. You have to believe that America is racist and sexist and unjust. That's why they all hate George Washington and Abraham Lincoln and Thomas Jefferson and Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head. You also have to believe, to be a member of their club, that America is irredeemable. We can't fix it. We've got to burn it down. And finally, to fit in, you've got to be unhappy. They're just not happy people. They never smile. That's why they look like they're straining to pass a stool. How did we get here? Well, we stopped teaching our kids about the Cold War and Stalin's death camps in communist Soviet Union and the fact that Mao and communist China killed tens of millions of people. But also because the mainstream wing of the party is scared to death of the loon wing.
I agree with the contempt piece, that contempt is a feature, not a bug, and that the belief that America is irredeemable along those identitarian lines that I mentioned, that's the basis. That's the organizing principle, no question. the mainstream wing of the party. Where is it? Where is it? And what does that constitute? What does the mainstream wing of the party believe? And how do you separate it? There's a lot of people running around being characterized as moderates that are not moderate at all. Maybe in their tonality, maybe in their rhetoric, but in terms of the substance of the positions, they're indistinguishable. So when Senator John Kennedy makes this call on the other party, I think it's misplaced. It presents this idea that there is this struggle for hegemony within their ranks that I don't believe exists.
Chuck and Hakeem need to go to Amazon, buy some testicles, and stand up to the loon wing of their party. And until they're willing to do that, I haven't heard Senator Schumer say anything bad about Mamdani.
Yeah, well, right. And Mamdani's a communist and so on and so forth. Right. But it's not just Mamdani and it's not just BLM Brandon. I mean, it is within the ranks, up and down the rank and file. I'll give you another example. Milwaukee City Councilman. His name is Brower. What's his first name? Oh, yeah, Alex Brower. Milwaukee City Councilman. Listen to what he has to say about what needs to be done in order to save the planet, combating climate change. One of the animating issues of the power structure of that party.
In this room, but it's worth just repeating that when it comes to the climate crisis, democracy, as Thea, you were talking about earlier, democracy is the solution. Socialism is the solution, right? The liberals out there want to, have regulation. They want to go around with the clipboard police and pretend that we can actually regulate these companies when we know that the only solution is to bring industry under public and worker ownership.
The only solution to save the planet, and again, if you're saving the planet, like if you're saving our democracy, then anything goes, is to nationalize private industry. I mean, that's a room temperature Hugo Chavez you just heard from. That's where the party is, at the the farm team level. If you think being a big city council human is part of your farm team, which it normally is. Youngish, too. Omar Fattah, the Somali-focused Somali American who's leading the charge to be the mayor of Minneapolis, concurrent to Mamdani in New York City, concurrent to Brandon Johnson, and so many others in mayors' offices around the country already. Representative Ishmael Muhammad, Columbus, Ohio. He's a state rep. Also Somali. And he has this video that's circulating now talking about all of the Somalis in public office around the country, including Ilhan Omar, and explaining that our aim is to be a united front to lobby for Somalia. So please support us locally and nationally as we create this block of elected officials to lobby for Somalia, united front to lobby for Somalia, things like forgiving their sovereign debt and so forth. You've heard Fattah be Somali-focused. Delia Ramirez here in this congressional delegation in Illinois, entering this week in controversy because she's a proud Guatemalan first and an American second. Proud Guatemalan first and an American second. That's who this party is. And it's, thankfully, in some respects, it's why it's shrinking. And we'll see what happens next year. I mean, again, the party in power is always facing headwinds. But Patrick Ruffini, who's a Republican pollster, makes a good point in his write-up about the midterms recently. By favoring the out party, midterm elections preempt the gnarly questions raised by the party's last election defeat. And this false optimism carries through to the next presidential cycle. So if Democrats have a good election next November, you can count on their problems with Hispanic voters or young men to be memory hold. Fans of the party's existing strategy will argue that the current path works just fine. Recall what happened after 2022. Following a decent midterm, Democrats told themselves Joe Biden was a viable candidate for re-election. He was the only one who had beat Trump before and that he could do it again. How'd that go? This is not to concede the midterms, but it's to make the point that you're not seeing any sort of significant move from that party. Leaders, rank and file, and the leadership that's trying to manage all of this, they're paralyzed, but they're also not moderates. I mean, the idea that Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries are somehow moderates or the mainstream or represent some mainstream wing of that party, that is a radical, revolutionary Marxist party. And that's how it needs to be presented. So the choice next year and in 28 is stark. It's packaged differently with different politicians, more obvious with some than others, but the net of it is the same. Whether the presentation is being done by Mamdani or Pritzker or Newsom or Fattah or Delia Ramirez or Jasmine Crockett. You got to strip away some of the personality focus and get people to zero in on the substance of what these individuals are advocating. And by extension, what their party actually represents. Because it isn't their interests. I mean, it isn't the people that you can get to. The point that a caller made earlier in the show, Maurice from Berwyn, getting people to focus on their interests and not get whipped up by the frenzy of overheated rhetoric. There is no mainstream wing of that party in this moment. Period.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
We ran the numbers and determined the overseas furniture makers are paying an extra 38% to package and ship their iffy furniture to the Midwest.
They're not paying it. The customer is.
That means of the $1,000 spent on a piece of iffy imported furniture, $380 of those dollars are paying for nothing that makes the product better.
But 82% of the furniture sold at Penny Mustard is made within 300 miles of us.
Swaddled in a comfy blankie and hand-delivered right here in the Midwest.
So we're able to invest that extra $380 into higher quality materials and craftsmanship.
The result is solid, sturdy, American-made furniture that lasts for generations.
Try doing that with the iffy-made furniture they make overseas.
So when you're buying new furniture, would you rather pay for low quality, global shipping, and dumpsters full of packaging?
Or would you rather spend that money on long-lasting, locally crafted furnishings?
When you shop at Penny Mustard, it adds up.
PennyMustard.com.
This is Jerry Boyer for Townhall.com. Conservative members of the State Financial Officers Foundation, from Utah Treasurer Marlo Oaks to Pennsylvania Treasurer Stacey Garrity and others, just sent a clear message to financial giants like BlackRock. If you keep attacking our energy industries, you can't do business with us. That's right. These red state financial officers are standing up for American industry and refusing to let woke finance dictate our future. This is a turning point. For too long, big asset managers have used their power to push radical climate agendas, hurting local economies and devaluing energy investments. But now states are fighting back. defending their industries, protecting jobs, and restoring common sense to capital markets. Your values are finally being defended in the financial arena. No more silent surrender to ESG pressure. It's time to invest in strength, not ideology.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at mvpcfp.com. That's mvpcfp.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to mvpcfp.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Chicagoland traffic. The Ike, the Stevenson, the dreaded 294. You sitting in traffic is not time well spent. Time is money.
Oh, come on, man. What's the slowdown for?
Especially when you're trying to do your own company deliveries.
What is happening up there? I got things to deliver.
But instead of sitting there getting more and more frustrated,
Please, can we go any slower?
you could be back at the shop getting work done.
I should have stayed at work and actually worked.
Get quick delivery service to battle the traffic for you. They'll make your deliveries while you get other things done. Quick delivery service makes it easy. No forms, no labels, no scanning. They'll deliver large pallets of materials to important documents. Simply tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going. They'll pick it up and get it to your destination quickly. Plus, your deliveries are tracked with real-time GPS notifications. Visit quickdelivery.com and stay out of traffic.
Oh no, this exit's closed?
Call now for a free quote. 847-534-2244 or go to quickdelivery.com.
AM 560.
The answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Hunter Biden back in the news. Another sit-down with his podcast friend / biographer. It would seem that Andrew Callaghan or whatever his name is. Anyway, he's in a bit of hot water with Melania, yes, the First Lady, over the assertion that it was Jeffrey Epstein that introduced Melania to Donald. And, of course, dastardly insinuation of that statement. Demand letter was sent to Hunter Biden threatening $1 billion defamation suit. And here's his response. I think you can guess what he's going to say. It's sort of his one-size-fits-all response to anyone who criticizes him or the big guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the day of presidential litigation has arrived. It's lawsuit time. In my hand is a legal demand letter addressed to Mr. Hunter Biden from the First Lady of the United States, demanding a retraction of Channel 5's video called Hunter Biden Returns, in which Mr. Biden here makes some speculative comments about the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein, Melania Trump, and Donald Trump.
Okay, well, they knew each other well. They spent an enormous time together. According to his biographer, is that Jeffrey Epstein introduced Melania. That's how Melania and the First Lady and the president met.
Really?
Yeah.
Epstein made the intro.
Yeah, according to Michael Wolff.
Yeah.
And so I only can go by what people are saying, and I don't know.
He didn't make these claims out of nowhere. They come from another journalist named Michael Wolff, who is a biographer that actually spoke to Jeffrey Epstein. But now here we are. And I've got $1 billion document in my hands because Mrs. Trump is seeking $1 billion in damages if we don't take the video down and if Hunter here doesn't issue a formal apology to Mrs. Trump. So now we're here maybe to give you the platform to apologize to the First Lady for your statements that you made about her possible connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
That. That's not going to happen.
Baby boy Hunter, the smartest guy that the big guy knows. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure there's a defamation claim here, but the idea that he's just repeating what Michael Wolff had to say. Well, Michael Wolff, you may remember, wrote a book about Trump released during his first term. in which much of what he said about Trump, several anecdotes contained in the book, were challenged as completely invented. And his response to uncorroborated storytelling, that the veracity of which was challenged, was, if it sounds true, it probably is. If it sounds true, it probably is. That's the high standard of truth-telling that Michael Wolff applies to himself, the great journalist. But anyway, I do like the back and forth between Melania and Hunter. That this could be some fun podcast fodder. And it gets Hunter back out talking more and probably MFing more Democrats. So we'll look forward to that. F that. F him. F her. F this. F that. Brilliant. That's what a crackhead with a Yale law degree sounds like, as I've said. It is now 7 a.m., AM 560, WIND.
High stakes. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump posted that in all caps, 3 exclamation points on Truth Social as he gets ready to take off for Alaska in his face-to-face meeting with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, trying to get him to stop the war in Ukraine. The president just got on to Air Force One 3 minutes ago. Fox's Peter Ducey's in Anchorage.
If this meeting goes sideways and the end of the war in Ukraine does not appear to be near, the president plans to punish Russia and Russia's trading partners with new economic sanctions. But if it goes well, President Trump is going to bring President Zelensky into the fold.
But Fox's Greg Palcott reports Putin may not be making many concessions.
It is assumed he will be asking for all the land, some 20% of Ukraine in the south and east, that they've managed to occupy in all this time of fighting, basically keeping the front line as it is and maybe more.
Texas Democratic lawmakers who left the state planning to return after a special legislative session ends today, though the governor's threatened to call a new one. Former President Obama is in a call with those lawmakers, and he said they're inspiring, blocking a vote on a congressional redistricting, the thing that could give Republicans 5 more House seats in next year's election, something California is planning to counter.
We're here because Donald Trump, on January 6th, tried to light democracy on fire, tried to wreck this country, tried to steal an election.
Governor Gavin Newsom has called a special election in November to approve a California redistricting to give Democrats 5 more House seats. The governor was upset that as he held his news conference, Border Patrol agents were outside conducting immigration enforcement actions.
I think it's pretty sick and pathetic.
One person was taken into custody. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino said,
"We're here making Los Angeles a safer place. Since we won't have politicians that'll do that, we do that ourselves."
The day after a scare, about 5 envelopes containing white powder evacuated a federal building in New York City. That powder is being analyzed at the FBI's lab in Virginia. 2 employees in the mailroom of the Immigration Enforcement Office were exposed directly, but no one's been reported injured. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It's 71 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Most of the Chicago Board of Education want changes made to the budget proposed by Chicago Public Schools this week. 11 of 21 members sent a letter to interim CPS CEO Macklin King demanding the school district's budget include a controversial $175 million municipal pension payment and a loan to cover costs. CPS laid out a budget proposal this week that made the pension payment contingent on CPS receiving additional revenue from the state or TIF surplus revenue. The board members argued the school district wouldn't get that TIF money if they don't agree to make the pension payment. No one is hurt after a plane made an emergency landing near a Joliet golf course. Police say a single-engine aircraft landed yesterday in a grassy area near the Inwood Golf Course. The pilot said the aircraft's engine began to fail mid-flight, prompting him to land the plane. The FAA and NTSB are investigating the incident. A documentary is in the works about the 2008 Lane Bryant murders in Tinley Park. Filmmaker Charlie Min is putting together a documentary titled Who Killed These Women? The Tinley Park Five. No arrests have been made after 5 women were shot and killed inside the Lane Bryant store inside the Brookside Marketplace Shopping Center during a robbery in February of 2008. Min hopes the film will help investigators find the killer. This news update is quickly delivered to you by Quick Delivery Service. Why are you sitting in Friday traffic? Time is money. When you need your important items delivered quickly, Quick Delivery Service will be there to pick it up and take it to its destination. Go to quickdelivery.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
If you've ever wanted to meet Larry Elder, Hugh Hewitt, Mike Gallagher, or Charlie Kirk, now's your chance. It's AM 560's Terrific Talkers VIP Experience Contest. Enter today for a chance to meet your favorite host and sit in on a live broadcast. The grand prize includes airfare and 3 nights of accommodations. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/VIP. That's 560theanswer.com/VIP.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Michaela's Mobile Spa, Michaela! Michaela got a quick business insurance quote from Progressive and chose from over 30 customizable coverages. Sure, it helps she's her only employee and does literally everything, but while others would rest on their laurels, Michaela was hard at work saving big. So take that, hypothetical other employee who doesn't exist. Be your own Michaela. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.
Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. I've always been a strong believer in precious metals investment, and I've always been fascinated with rare coin collecting. But owning the wrong coins that only make dealers a lot of money can be catastrophic for your investment portfolio. AmFed Coin and Bullion specializes in taking people out of non-performing coin portfolios and turning them into gold, silver, or platinum bullion. They tailor a portfolio based on your goals and not what they want to sell you. You'll never experience scare tactics, misleading hype, or high-pressure sales from owner Nick Grovich and his very knowledgeable staff. They will evaluate your portfolio, show you how your coins have performed, and take the time to educate you on the ugly industry practices so that you can make an informed decision. Smart people can make very bad investments when they're under pressure and lack the facts. Call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
Hogburg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound, 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 19 minutes. Outbound is about 16 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 22 minutes. Outbound, about 19 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 23 minutes. Outbound, 17 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 13 minutes. Outbound, 10 minutes. Traffic is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be hot with sun and some high clouds reaching a high of 92. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with warm and humid conditions with a low of 75. Tomorrow, anticipate intervals of clouds and sunshine along with a thunderstorm as temperatures soar to a high of 94. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Is the University of Chicago going away? There is a stunning piece, and I mean stunning piece, by Clifford Ando over at Compact compactmag.com. The crisis of the university started long before Trump, and it's particularly the University of Chicago. Just on the economics, the University of Chicago has now borrowed $6.3 billion. That's more than 70% of the value of its endowment. The cost of servicing its debt on the 6.3 that it borrowed, 6.3 billion that it borrowed. The cost of servicing the debt is now 85% of the value of all undergraduate tuition. The University of Chicago is in real trouble. I mean, did Brandon Johnson take over the University of Chicago? 6.3 Pritzker, a 6.3 billion borrowed, 70% of the value of its endowment. The cost of servicing the debt, 85% of the value of all undergraduate tuition. Listen to this description of what's going on there. Clifford Ando, who is a educated classicist, like in the VDH tradition. The University of Chicago is in crisis. Under extraordinary financial strain, which I just described from his piece, it has diminished its faculty-student ratio, hired hundreds of lecturers, teachers whom it pays little and whom it does not expect to do research. Oh, you mean like when Obama was a lecturer there? Anyway, I digress. It has deliberately driven down the percentage of undergraduate tuition that it devotes to actually teaching undergrads. This summer, it proposed to merge, read close, departments, send some students online, or perhaps put them on buses to study at other institutions and teach some languages via ChatGPT. It's freezing budgets, closing academic units, slashing doctoral education, and contemplating the use of restricted endowment payouts to support functions not covered in the gift agreements. The effects of these changes, writes Ando, and a further expansion of the undergraduate population already in the works with no expansion of faculty, will be dire. Fewer subjects will be taught, classes will be larger, students will have less contact with faculty, more teaching will be done by people with no formal contact with research. Ando argues, and perhaps this has been lost in the focus on the politicization of the academy, but he writes, the true problem at the University of Chicago and elsewhere is the debased ideals of the university's leadership and the extraordinary debt it has taken on in pursuit of them. The university's trustees and leaders view it preeminently as a tax-free technology incubator, and its debt load is so great that it's abandoning ideals it once held dear in order to sustain that goal of being this tax-free tech incubator. They're simply choosing not to be a university. And this is purposeful. Again, just to provide more color on the general description he offers at the outset of his piece. The reason today's Dean of Humanities wants to send students to other universities to learn subjects that she would like to cancel or use ChatGPT to teach subjects tomorrow that humans teach today is to drive the marginal cost of teaching students from 20% of their tuition down to 10%. Future applicants should also know the university plans a further expansion from around 7,400 students to around 9,000. Now, this is still, a quote-unquote elite private university, but this is impactful. It's like what you're paying for versus and what you think you're getting versus what you're actually getting. One of the things that he compares this to, just in terms of what has happened here, he talks about the focus on the university as research institutions, the focus on private licensing of discoveries made during federally funded research that was incentivized by the legislation back in 1980. I mean, so he points to that as one of the changes in the incentive structure for universities that led universities like Chicago down this path, although Tyler Cohn over at Marginal Revolution makes the point that this 85%, the debt load of 70% of the value of the endowment at University of Chicago is not normal. He writes, no peer institution has a debt-to-asset ratio higher than 26% of endowment, So there is something perhaps a little unique going on here, but there's also some things that are consistent across quote-unquote elite universities. The other point he makes, the employment model of the research university requires the best researchers receive contracts effectively for life. So as university's leadership flits from fashion to fashion for its own glory and the universities never realize profit, universities can rarely shed the costs of the last misadventure. That's the argument he makes about this characterization of UFC as a tax-free technology incubator from the perspective of the leadership of the school. And he contrasts that with the attitude that was prevalent 40 years ago. In 1982, a committee at University of Chicago published a report on the history and future of doctoral education. Ando writes, it's a remarkable piece of analysis and offers a stunning affirmation of the ideals of the university. It allows that interest in doctoral degrees in STEM fields had plummeted so far that one could fairly pose the question of whether these should be sustained as fields of advanced education at all. In STEM, that was a debate being had 40 years ago. The answer, according to the report, was emphatically yes. Why yes, even though interest had plummeted? Because that was the duty of the university, to sustain inquiry and training into all things that touch on human existence, both for them in themselves and because as future leaders of universities, we cannot possibly know the fashions and needs of the future. In conclusion, he writes, in the fiscal year 2024, University of Chicago had revenues of just north of $3 billion. Why not teach undergraduates according to its historic standards? Why decimate the humanities? Why pause doctoral education in fields that do not concern North America? Why disdain everything not written in English or which occurred before the modern world? Not because they need to, not because they're forced to. They're simply the express preferences of the University of Chicago's leaders and trustees. Its rank is declining, its endowment is shrinking, its investment in programs and startups are questionable. They are succeeding only in destroying a great American university. Wow. For more on this topic and other related matters, including in higher education, pleased to be joined by former Indiana governor and former president of Purdue University. He is Mitch Daniels. Mitch Daniels, thanks so much for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Hello, Dan.
So I don't know if you were familiar with this story about the situation at University of Chicago, but I mean, what is your reaction to what appears to be going on there, and just even by the numbers alone, the financial numbers?
I'm stunned and surprised. I'm going to run and get the article. I had not seen it, but I will soon. I think I keep on pretty close tabs on things on higher ed, but this is new to me. I mean, everything you talked about there is a phenomenon we've seen elsewhere, but not to that degree. Things like the debt, for instance, and I wasn't associating those things with Chicago. We can go through the specifics if you like, but I'll just say generally, it would not be a good thing for higher ed if the University of Chicago hit the skids. They've been leaders in some positive ways. I think about free speech, where their principles we promptly adopted at Purdue and promoted all over the country. They stood, as Purdue did, but few others did, by the principle of institutional neutrality. Universities should not be spouting off on issues that aren't directly related to their well-being. And I hope they get themselves, if they're in this kind of shape, I hope they get themselves back in order. Higher ed's got enough problems.
Well, what about just some of the things that are structural in universities? I mean, at least that's the argument being made here. The employment model that is described, where you have sort of, for example, the researchers receiving contracts effectively for life. Also, University of Chicago is investing in startups by its faculties. And he asked the question, does the author of the piece, can a university make rational decisions about the value of a given employee when it co-invests in commercial ventures with that employee? You're starting to blur some lines, and that presents perhaps some perils.
It does, although I think it deserves some qualification. I mean, first of all, classics professors get tenure too.
True. Right.
This system, the problem of locking in a big part of your cost structure, and in any university, personnel is the biggest single part of what gets spent. And when you've locked in a lot of that, so that you can't shift to as the student interest and preference shifts, as the needs of society shift, so you can't, you don't have the flexibility to, as like any business would, to move with it. That's a problem. But it's certainly not limited to the STEM disciplines. As for the research and the commercialization part, I have to say this is something that at least our greatest universities, I think it's a responsibility to discover new knowledge, new scientific and other breakthroughs, and turn them into, as we have now for ever since World War II, our universities have been really the best breeding grounds we have for new technologies and discoveries. So it can be carried too far, and why they borrowed all that money associated with it is a mystery to me. But I wouldn't throw that baby out with so much. We do have a lot of bathwater in higher ed, but the idea that universities can continue to create new goods, services, and new science, and turn that into things that are useful to society, I hope we can preserve. What's your general review of the Trump administration's approach to higher education to date? Obviously they're in pitch battles with Harvard, and they're catching a lot of static, even sort of compelling for financial reasons, some retrenchment by other Ivy League schools. But with respect to DEI, with respect to other aspects, admissions policies, as well as DEI on campus and the force in the manifestation of curriculum and so forth, what's your general review of how Trump has done approaching higher education, trying to improve it? It should never have come to this. Higher ed brought it on itself through its excesses and even violations of the law when it comes to racial preferences in hiring and in admissions. All the excesses, and there were many, of DEI are very real and needed correction. So the old joke about hitting the donkey with the 2x4. First, you have to get its attention. I think that's what's happened here. I have to say I'm not comfortable with the federal government coercing and leaning on private institutions. You can make a slightly different argument where an institution is public and largely taxpayer supported, but I'm afraid that it had to come to this, or we weren't going to see reform. Higher ed, despite a few good examples, despite a lot of us urging the physician to heal himself, so to speak, wasn't going to do it. And so maybe this pressure, I think, has already begun to show some positive signs. The Red Menace that you wrote about way back when, 14 or 15 years ago, when you were contemplating a run for president, the Red Menace being debt, not the Soviets. What's your perspective? I mean, as somebody who was, sort of warning that the bridge was out a generation and a half ago or so, what's your perspective on where we are financially as a country today? Well, we're not in good shape. And my perspective has shifted in a pessimistic direction over the intervening years. I don't like that because I've always seen optimism as the only good operating principle. But the simple, brute mathematical facts are that we're headed into a corner that's going to require some really wrenching changes. Back when I wrote that book, and for a while after, you could say, look, folks, let's get going. If we get going, make some changes now, we can navigate through this. We've passed that point now, I'm sorry to say, and Social Security is 6 or so years from insolvency. Medicare is a year or two behind that. This administration, which has done a lot of good things, has been terrible in terms of its absolutely cavalier attitude toward the debt that's being piled up. And, maybe that works in real estate. You can walk away and leave the keys to somebody else. The country can't do that. And so I think we're going to have as the cynics have always said, well, it'll just take a crisis. The Congress won't act. No administration will act. They won't take the political heat that would require. Until we have a real crunch, I guess we're going to have one.
Yeah, I mean, the comparisons to like Detroit, Detroit being a microcosm of what is coming. I mean, those don't really capture it, though, because, a city that goes BK has to reorganize, even a big city like Detroit. The collateral damage is still somewhat localized. What we're talking about here at the federal level, given the size and scope and level of intervention the federal government has in everyone's lives, is going to be something.
We've become, I think, way too accustomed to bailouts, whether it's corporations, local governments, even states who conduct themselves irresponsibly, look to somebody else to pull them out of the ditch. Your state never going to live up to all the pension promises it's made. You know what's going to happen at some stage. You're going to try to dump that on the rest of the country. I'm counting on a 2 votes per state Senate, if nothing else, to block that. But that'll be coming. But a nation like the U.S. won't have anywhere to turn. And we will have to, I'm afraid, do some very unfair things. Default on some promises we've made in our safety net programs and things like that it could have been avoided.
The one of the arguments that's made is by some, particularly on the more optimistic side, you have to be very optimistic, is that we don't know what the possibilities are with this digital revolution we're in the midst of. And, with the promise of AI is the promise of growing our way out of the burdens that we have placed on ourselves, particularly if we can slow the rate of adding to those burdens. What's your general perspective? I mean, I know you stay sort of ahead of the curve on these burgeoning public policy matters. What's your perspective on AI, its dynamism, its possibilities, its the dangers associated with them?
One of my favorite cartoons from way back in my business day shows the guy standing in front of the chart with the projections on it. It's a flat line along the bottom, then it leaps up toward the right side and says, "Miracle happens here."
Right.
Yeah, right. It's not a strategy. I will say that I heard just last week a very, very knowledgeable person from the world of public finance and the economy, a name you would recognize, surprised me by saying, he thought maybe that the miracles of productivity growth that AI may produce might pull us out of this. One can hope, but again, that's not a strategy. And I think from what we can know right now, history is going to judge this and the last generation of public officials pretty harshly for failing to talk in an adult fashion to our fellow citizens and say, listen, we're going to have to make some changes here so that we can, the future will be better than today. And instead, they have allowed everything to sort of slide to the point. We just passed $37 trillion in debt, well over 100% of GDP. Neil Ferguson, probably our greatest current historian, has recently pointed out that he can't find an example in history when a leading nation began spending more on interest costs, debt service, than it spent on its defense and security. And we passed that last year, and the lines are moving further apart.
Mitch Daniels, former president of Purdue University, former governor of Indiana, and a sneaky good golfer. Very, very consistent. Fairways, it's just fairways and greens for Mitch Daniels. I know, I experienced it.
Yeah, well, I'm not up to prof standards, but struggling along like we all do.
Governor Daniels, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Anytime, Dan. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. And you joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king-size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Everybody is keeping an eye on the Fed and how an interest rate cut might affect gold prices. Gold has been hovering at around $3,400 an ounce for the last 2 months and is poised for dramatic growth with the next interest rate cut. Join Advantage Gold for their virtual Gold and Silver Summit on Wednesday, August 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern. You'll find out why now is the time to prepare for the most important financial reset of this century, and why this might be the best time in modern history for you to diversify your holdings with physical gold and silver. Text the word GOLD to 85545 to get your free access to the Advantage Gold Virtual Gold and Silver Summit. You'll get actionable intelligence on how to deal with rising debt and how to hedge against unpredictable economic events by diversifying your IRAs, 401ks, and retirement funds into tangible assets, tax and penalty free. Just text GOLD to 85545. Text GOLD to 85545. Consult with your financial and tax professionals before making investment decisions. Get your free pass now for the Gold and Silver Summit on Wednesday, August 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Text GOLD to 85545.
That shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
AM 560. The Answer.
While Trump will be meeting with Putin today, there are other geopolitical matters to discuss, including in the Middle East. We'll talk about the state of affairs in Gaza with Jonathan Tobin, editor-in-chief of the Jewish News Syndicate, at 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 71 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump is celebrating the 90th anniversary of the Social Security Act. Speaking from the Oval Office, Trump touted his efforts to protect and improve the program.
In the campaign, I made a sacred pledge to our seniors that I would always protect Social Security, and under this administration, we're keeping that promise and strengthening Social Security for generations to come. So today we celebrate that 90th anniversary of one of the most significant pieces of legislation ever signed into law, the Social Security Act of 1935, and we're going to make it stronger, bigger, and better.
He said he helped restore the program.
There's never been anything like it. The 4 years of Biden were very, very destructive. It couldn't have gone on much longer. Social Security was going to be destroyed.
He noted backlogs and long wait times at field offices on the phone have been addressed. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
If you've ever wanted to meet Larry Elder, Hugh Hewitt, Mike Gallagher, or Charlie Kirk, now's your chance. It's AM 560's Terrific Talkers VIP Experience Contest. Enter today for a chance to meet your favorite host and sit in on a live broadcast. The grand prize includes airfare and 3 nights of accommodations. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/VIP. That's 560theanswer.com/VIP.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect. Finished to impress.
Join the fight against Charcot-Marie tooth disease at the Cure CMT Golf Challenge. CMT is a genetic disorder causing muscle weakness and sensory loss, impacting daily life. There's no cure yet, but your support can change that. For $5,000, your foursome gets 18 holes at the stunning Merritt Club in Libertyville, Illinois on August 18th, plus lunch and dinner. Check in at 10:30 a.m. Help fund treatments and research. Visit cure-cmt.org to register today. Cure CMT Golf Challenge. Swing for a cure.
People ask us all the time, when's the best time to replace an old air conditioner? Simple. Before it breaks. Because when it does, you know it'll be the hottest day of the year, and suddenly you're scrambling like hundreds of others to get help during a heat wave. At Air Right Heating and Cooling, we've seen it all. We know there's never a good time to be without AC, especially in Chicagoland, where the humidity can make 80 degrees feel like 100. At Air Right, our experienced technicians don't just work fast, they'll do it right. Browse through our more than 1,500 5-star Google reviews to see what our loyal customers love most about us. If it's been a while since your system was inspected, don't wait for a heat wave before having it checked out. And right now, AM 560 listeners receive $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
Ross Shaw talks about building income in retirement.
You know, you can actually structure it in a way that have that $4,000 a month coming in the door every single month. So you don't have to look at the stock ticker and say, oh, the stock market's up today, stock market's down. You still got that $4,000 a month, and having that opportunity to take the vacations and do all the fun things in retirement that you always dreamed to do.
Unleash your wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Viking, dedicated to creating travel experiences for the thinking person, with programs designed for cultural enrichment on board and on shore. Discover more at Viking.com.
From the Team Hogberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes, outbound 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 19 minutes, outbound is about 16 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 22 minutes, outbound about 19 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 23 minutes, outbound 17 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 13 minutes, outbound 10 minutes. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Need new blinds? At Blindster.com, they offer guaranteed low prices, guaranteed satisfaction, free samples, and free shipping. At Blindster, they take the fear out of ordering custom blind shades and shutters so you can do it yourself and save big. Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Announcer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be hot with plenty of sunshine and some high clouds. The high will reach 92. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies, staying warm and humid with a low of 75. Tomorrow, anticipate a mix of clouds and sun with a chance of a thunderstorm. It'll remain hot with a high of 94. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and this is a rather poignant illustration of the intellectual and moral rot in the West. And now it comes from the entertainment sector, where the standards could hardly be lower, but still. The Toronto International Film Festival is blocking a film about October 7th entitled The Road Between Us, The Ultimate Rescue, because it includes footage Hamas filmed themselves, live streaming their own massacre, you may recall. The film, The Road Between Us, The Ultimate Rescue, is the story of a retired IDF general who ran headlong into the heat of battle, fighting terrorists, rescuing victims to get his son. Why won't the Toronto Film Festival allow this film to be shown? Because general requirements for inclusion in the festival were not met. Which one? Legal clearance of all footage. Because the documentarians here did not receive written permission from Hamas to use the videos them filming of their own massacre, the film festival is worried about copyright issues. Yeah, you wouldn't want to get in a copyright legal battle with Hamas. And so the filmmakers were required to indemnify the festival in case of a lawsuit. The Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs in Canada, releasing a statement, it is unconscionable that the Toronto Film Festival is allowing a small mob of extremists who use intimidation and threats of violence to dictate what films Canadians can see at the festival. It's a shameful decision that sends an unmistakable message. Toronto's Jewish community, which has long played an integral role at the film festival, is no longer safe or welcome. Well, here again, a welcome to the reality of the identitarian Marxist left. And unfortunately, that includes a lot of Jewish Canadians and Jewish Americans who still apparently have not been sufficiently mugged by the reality of the party and the movement to which they affiliate to act in sensible ways. And it doesn't, and I don't mean by, quote unquote, supporting Trump or whatever, act in sensible ways by decoupling from these identitarian Marxists, for goodness sakes. Anyway, for more on this topic and related, Jonathan Tobin joins us, editor-in-chief of the Jewish News Syndicate. Jonathan, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
This to me is sort of a good example of something you wrote about recently in your outlet, a piece called The Generational Price of the False Gaza Genocide Narrative. That it's not just about what's happening on the ground in Gaza. The agitprop that is being distributed and platformed in so many places in the West unfortunately will have staying power, is the argument that you make.
Yeah, I think it's really true, and we are already seeing how that works. The story that much of the mainstream media is disseminating about Israel committing genocide, mass starvation in Gaza isn't true. It's palpably false. There's a war going on. People are suffering for sure. Some of them, there is some food shortages at times in various places in Gaza, but it's almost always caused by Hamas, which steals the aid which has been pouring in throughout the war. This is unique in history, where a country is attacked, as Israel was on October 7th, with unspeakable atrocities, and then it goes after the people who did this the way any sane country would, as America did when we were attacked on 9/11 or attacked at Pearl Harbor, and yet Israel is judged and compelled to feed and aid the people that attacked it, and it's doing it, and yet it's blamed for the shortages of food caused by Hamas, which steals the food, hoards it for itself, sells some of it back to its own people at exorbitant prices, and whatever problems in Gaza are caused by the high price of food, which is caused by Hamas, and by the UN, which works with Hamas, and which Hamas then attacks the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which was this food distribution group, which was created by the United States and Israel, and the people who go there are attacked. So it's all a big lie, and it's believed. The truth about October 7th is denied or suppressed, as we saw with that film festival nonsense. And it's the predicate for this massive surge in anti-Semitism. People saying, people believing that the Jews, it's just like during the Middle Ages, the Jews are poisoning the wells, the Jews are causing the Black Death, the Jews are doing, whatever you think is bad. So what is happening now, these lies that are mainstreamed, the blood libels that are bought into by the majority of, frankly, now the leadership of the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. Even people like Pete Buttigieg, Mr. Weather Vane himself, reading Politico today, how he's turning against Israel too, because that's how the wind is blowing in the Democratic Party these days. And President Obama rushing to aid Zohran Mamdani, the socialist, anti-Semitic, Democratic candidate for mayor of New York City. It's all bad in and of itself, and it's all outrageous. We can get angry about all of this, but what we have to understand is that what this is building up, this is like radioactive material, which has a half-life. It doesn't just, dissipate when you explode a bomb. It lingers forever. And that's what these anti-Semitic smears are doing. It's not just creating anti-Semitism now and discrimination and lies about Israel. It's going to be felt for generations to come, who will cite these blood libels as reasons why they too should hate the Jews 10, 20, 30, 50 years from now. That's what the damage that is being done. It's not just to Jews and to Israel today. It's to the people who will follow, people not yet born, will feel the impact of these lies, which are being used, as anti-Semitism always has done, for political reasons.
Well, since you called him out, Mayor Pete, that is, here's what he had to say as part of his audition tape, trying to put it together for 2028, on Pod Save America podcast when asked the pedestrian question that seemed to catch him off guard. Where are you on a Palestinian state?
Do you think it's time to recognize a Palestinian state?
I think that's a profound question that arouses a lot of the biggest problems that have happened with Israel's survival, Israel's right to survival in the diplomatic scene. And many of the people who have taken that step historically have done so for different reasons than what we see happening with European countries. I think we need to step back, and we need to do whatever it takes to ensure that there is a real two-state solution, and that no one, not even the likes of Netanyahu, can veto the international community's commitment to a two-state solution where you have Palestinians and Israelis living with safety, with security, with rights. I believe that can happen.
I don't think that one's going to make the sizzle reel because Kamala Harris is more lucid on the topic than that. But I mean,
Even
what
Kamala Harris?
Yes,
Yeah.
but I mean, what that sort of mealy mouth answer tells you about his party and the things he sort of has to try to say, no matter how inarticulately, in order to middle the issue.
Let's understand something about this Palestinian state, the latest upsurge in support for a Palestinian state. Let's understand. The reason why October 7th happened was because there was a Palestinian state, an independent Palestinian state in all but name in Gaza. Israel withdrew every soldier, settler, and settlement from Gaza in 2005. It turned into, could have been anything. As Trump would say, Singapore, Dubai, a Trump resort. Instead, it became a terrorist fortress, with tunnels the size of the New York City subway system underneath, a terrorist state whose purpose was to attack Israel. And that's what they did on October 7th. There isn't going to be a Palestinian state because, the Palestinians have rejected offers of Palestinian statehood for the last century. They could have had one when Israel was created in 1947, when the UN partitioned the country, into an Arab state and a Jewish state. And the Arabs and the Muslim world said, no, thank you very much. We don't want anything that includes a Jewish state. The same thing happened when, Bill Clinton offered one on a silver platter to Yasser Arafat in 2000 and 2001. George W. Bush did the same thing to Mahmoud Abbas, the head of the Palestinian Authority, currently serving the 20th year of his 4-year term to which he was elected, in 2008. No, thank you. They don't want a Palestinian state. They want to destroy Israel. Israel will never agree to that. No sane person should ask them to, because the Palestinians don't want statehood and living in peace. Had they wanted one, they could have had one 25 years ago or 77 years ago. Instead, doing it now, these meaningless, proclamations of we recognize a state from Europe, from Australia, from Pete Buttigieg, from Mayor Pete. There is no state now. It doesn't qualify for statehood. It's a mythical thing. They're just people living there who don't want statehood but want to keep attacking Israel. Perhaps in the theoretical future, when there's been a sea change in the political culture of the Palestinians, when they are willing to live in peace, there might be something to talk about then. But their national identity for the last century has been inextricably tied with this implacable war on Zionism, on the right of the Jewish people to live in their ancient homeland. This is not a compromise. This is just enabling more warfare, more bloodshed, more horrors like October 7th. And this is represented as compromise and sweet reason. It's the opposite. We have to stop projecting onto Hamas, which is supported by the majority of the Palestinians, even after what they've done these last 2 years. Stop projecting onto them our ideas about what's reasonable and what a compromise would be. They're not interested in compromise. They're only interested, as they have shown us time after time. This isn't me characterizing them. This is what their actions have shown. They don't want peace. They don't want two states. They want the end of Israel, the genocide of the Jewish people, which is what Hamas stands for, and what people chanting from the river to the sea and globalize the Intifada are supporting, whether they can identify either body of water or know what they're talking about at all. That's what we're talking about now, and that's why this is about anti-Semitism, about hate against Jews, which has been mainstreamed by people who should know better in our political discourse, in the mainstream media. And the result, they're not going to destroy Israel. Israel isn't going away, but they are enabling hate, even as they claim to be the enlightened, good, smart, liberal people. They're not. They are helping hate.
And pragmatically, what happens to the Palestinian people in Gaza? Because I haven't been waiting for some other Arab country to step up and lay claim or provide safe haven. I know the King of Jordan's not going to do that for an extended period of time because of his own experiences, but that's not coming anywhere. I mean, with all due respect, nobody wants to take them. So, practically speaking, how does Netanyahu and how does the region deal with that?
There is no, you've stated the problem quite well. Egypt, next door, has built a fence to keep them out, which is completely unprecedented in the history. People fleeing war have always been allowed to flee war. Palestinians have to stay there, according to their Arab brothers and neighbors, because they're props in this endless war against Israel. Listen, if Hamas were to be finally defeated, if the Palestinians were to reject them, there might be some path forward, but no Arab country is going to send this. It's a fantasy to think that some Arab country is going to send their troops into Gaza to sort of police and to, maintain administration for the Gazans there, because they know they're just going to be attacked. Hamas, and its various competitors like Islamic Jihad and the other pro-Iranian groups, they're not, their purpose is war. They're willing to sacrifice as many of their own people as necessary to score propaganda points in this crazy war. If the war could have ended at any moment in the last 22 months, if Hamas just released the hostages, not even if they laid down their arms and stopped fighting, if they had just released all the hostages, Israel would have stopped, as it still would. But they won't. They can't, because it's part of what they think their purpose is. So the war will go on until the Palestinians stop. And we can only pray that they will. But until they do, they're going to keep harming themselves as well as trying to harm other people.
Back to that aid issue. You wrote a piece about the United Jewish Appeal Federation in New York announcing a donation of $1 million to help Palestinian Arabs in the Gaza with respect to food and water. And you suggested that while it's a laudable on its face, it's a laudable humanitarian gesture, it's wrong-headed. Why?
There's so much wrong with this. I mean, yeah, it's for some people, it's the most Jewish thing we can do because we believe in, as we say in Hebrew, tzedakah, in acts of charity, of righteousness and justice. But doing this now in this way, no one wants to drop in the bucket. The Palestinians don't lack for money for aid. Billions upon billions upon billions have been poured into Gaza over the years. It's been used by Hamas to build its terror state. It's still being stolen by Hamas. There's no shortage of money for this. That all the various countries have poured in, including Israel, and so there is no shortage of this. All it does is virtue signaling and validating this false narrative about Israel starving the Palestinians, which they are not. It's sending a message that Jews feel guilty about defending themselves. That the people who not just committed the atrocities of October 7th. Well, let's remember something that some people don't even know. The majority of the people who crossed the border on October 7th in that orgy of mass murder, rape, torture, kidnapping, and wanton destruction were not actually Hamas fighters and Islamic Jihad fighters. They were ordinary Palestinians that went along for the ride to take part in the atrocities. These, the Palestinians in Gaza cheered October 7th. They have been complicit in the holding of the hostages. All the hostages that have been released or rescued all say that they were mostly being held by ordinary Palestinians, not by Hamas fighters. And not one, in Germany, in Nazi Germany, to make a horrible analogy, but it's true, there were righteous Gentiles during the Holocaust, Schindler, people like that who tried to help the Jews. Not one single Palestinian has been shown to have come forward to try to help the hostages or help them escape or to hide them until they could be rescued. Not one, even though there were, talk about $1 million being given by New York Jews for aid to Gaza. Israel offered a $5 million reward to anybody who could help rescue a hostage or help free them. Not one taker has been found. So I'm not really interested in for American Jews who claim to love Israel, who, as the Federation of New York said, they acknowledge that the lies that are being told about Israel, it's a false narrative. It's a blood libel to claim that Israel is committing genocide. But then they're still buttressing it by making these gestures that are empty, virtue signaling. We have to be honest about this conflict if we're ever going to have any hope of being reasonable about it or seeing it through, because it's things like this that tell Hamas they're winning. Gestures like the film festival in Canada. We can list, 1,000 different other incidents. All of it is telling them. They can read the New York Times and the Washington Post every day. And they say, well, I know we've destroyed this area. We've killed so many of our own people, but we're winning because people think ill of Israel and the Jews. Anything you do to back up this false narrative is a mistake. It's wrong. It's doing far more harm than any good it could possibly do.
Jonathan Tobin is the editor-in-chief of Jewish News Syndicate. Jonathan, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Coming up at 8:08, our friend Christian Toto, host of the Hollywood in Toto podcast, joins us to talk about all kinds of fun stuff in the entertainment industry. That's at 8:08. It's now 8 a.m. AM 560 WIND.
This is a Fox News alert. President Trump is in the air on his way to Alaska. I'm Dave Anthony for his meeting with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, warning of severe consequences if there's no progress stopping the war in Ukraine.
I'm not doing this for my health, okay? I don't need it. I'd like to focus on our country, but I'm doing this to save a lot of lives.
The president just talked to reporters on Air Force One, and Fox's Jared Halpern asked him...
The number of business people that President Putin is bringing along, is that something that you want to discuss with President Putin at this meeting?
Yeah, if we make progress, I would discuss it, because that's one of the things that they would like. They'd like to get a piece of what I built in terms of the economy.
Well, the president is hoping today's talks lead to a second Putin summit that would include Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelensky. And listen to this from Fox's Peter Doocy, who's already in Anchorage for this summit.
A podcast that Jessica Tarlov just did, where Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State, says that if President Trump can figure out how to end the war and have Ukraine not give away substantial amounts of territory to the aggressors, Russia, that she would nominate President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize.
There may be a Trump-Putin joint news conference at the end of their summit later today. National Guard troops and federal agents keep patrolling Washington, D.C., and now...
U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency Chief Terry Cole will now be the commissioner of the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under President Trump's emergency order responding to ongoing crime in the city.
But Fox's Evan Brown also reports Cole is not getting a warm welcome.
D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser and her city attorney are pushing back, saying it is unlawful for the federal government to appoint a commissioner.
Now, the D.C. Attorney General has filed a lawsuit saying President Trump has gone too far and is reaching beyond his power under the law with the Washington takeover. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It's 74 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Illinois is taking action to strengthen union protections in the state. Governor Pritzker yesterday signed a bill package that aims to protect Illinois workers and support organized labor.
This new state law means Trump can't take these rights away from Illinois workers. We're protecting Illinois workers from Donald Trump.
The package is designed to preserve current pay standards and worker protections against federal rollbacks from the Trump administration. The signing comes after FEMA joined several other federal agencies in canceling contracts with unions to comply with the Trump executive order, saying collective bargaining requirements no longer applied to many federal agencies. New leadership is taking over at the Chicago Sun-Times. Chicago Public Media announced that Kimbrell Kelly has been named editor-in-chief of the newspaper. She begins her position September 2nd, becoming the Sun-Times' first black editor-in-chief. Kelly previously served as an assistant managing editor and bureau chief at the Los Angeles Times and a reporter at the Washington Post, where she was part of a Pulitzer Prize-winning team. An Illinois judge is rejecting Texas's plan to enforce civil arrest warrants for the Texas House Democrats who fled to Illinois. The complaint was filed by Republican Illinois State Senator Jill Tracy on behalf of GOP Texas lawmakers earlier this month. The Adams County judge ruled that his court didn't have the jurisdiction to do what Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and House Speaker Dustin Burrows had requested. Texas Democrats fled to the state to obstruct a vote on redistricting. News is a service of Woodland Windows and Doors. See Marvin products in their beautiful showroom at the corner of Lake and Gray and Roselle, or visit woodlandwindows.com for a free in-home expert consultation. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The parent company of Dave's Killer Bread and Wonder Bread is lowering expectations for the year. Flowers Foods says it's seeing softness in traditional loaf sales and a more competitive environment. The company also makes Tasty Cake, Nature's Own, and other brands. Flowers Foods is headquartered in Georgia, but its bakeries are located across the U.S. United Health shares are up 11% this morning, giving a boost to Dow futures. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway sold shares in Apple in recent months and added United Health shares. Intel shares up more than 2.5% following reports that Intel and the Trump administration are discussing the possibility of the U.S. government taking a financial stake in Intel. Wall Street will be reacting today to retail sales numbers for July. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jim Cosola, invested in you.
If you've ever wanted to meet Larry Elder, Hugh Hewitt, Mike Gallagher, or Charlie Kirk, now's your chance. It's AM 560's Terrific Talkers VIP Experience Contest. Enter today for a chance to meet your favorite host and sit in on a live broadcast. The grand prize includes airfare and 3 nights of accommodations. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/VIP. That's 560theanswer.com/VIP.
Why don't we do one of those one-day bathroom remodels?
Well, because I don't want a generic bathroom that looks like it belongs at a campsite.
Fair. I'd love something that fits us. A bigger shower, safety grab bars, better lighting, heated floors.
Let's go with Forever Remodeling. There's no templates. Every design is unique and exactly what we want.
At Forever Remodeling, no 2 bathrooms are ever the same. Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Michaela's Mobile Spa, Michaela! Michaela got a quick business insurance quote from Progressive and chose from over 30 customizable coverages. Sure, it helps she's her only employee and does literally everything, but while others would rest on their laurels, Michaela was hard at work saving big. So take that, hypothetical other employee who doesn't exist. Be your own Michaela. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens, inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound, 16 minutes. On the Kennedy, inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 30 minutes. Outbound, 15 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 28 minutes. Outbound, 20 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 32 minutes. Got an accident on the left shoulder inbound around Damon Avenue. That's going to see a little bit of brake tapping there. On the outbound side, about 18 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn interchange, about 23 minutes. Outbound is about 11 minutes. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be hot with sun and some high clouds reaching a high of 92. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with warm and humid conditions with a low of 75. Tomorrow, anticipate intervals of clouds and sunshine along with a thunderstorm as temperatures soar to a high of 94. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I hesitate to call her a Hollywood actress, but I guess she's something approximating that. I'm talking about this person named Jennifer Welch, who apparently was on a Bravo show called Sweet Home about her like high-end interior design business. Does that make you a celebrity or a Hollywood actress? This way she's been characterized. I don't know. Our next guest, Christian Toto, will know more about that than I do. But I do know this. This is what she had to say about Trump supporters. And this is basically representative of Hollywood. So in that sense, I guess it's fair to call her a Hollywood actress because it's about the level of intellect and discourse we've become accustomed to.
I've had it with white people that triple trumped, that have the nerve and the audacity to walk into a Mexican restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, an Indian restaurant, go to perhaps their gay hairdresser. I don't think you should be able to enjoy anything but Cracker Barrel. And if you want to triple Trump and you want to browbeat DEI and you want to browbeat gay people and you want to browbeat black people as you've been doing for 400 years. And you want to browbeat this generation of immigrants that come over here and open up businesses earnestly, pay their taxes. You want to demonize them and call them rapists and felons and all this shit, when the felon is the teeny weeny mushroom piece of shit, Cankles McTaco at the top of the ticket. I have had it from top to bottom. White people that triple Trump should be banned, boycotted from enjoying the best thing that America has to offer, which is multiculturalism. Get your fat asses out of the Mexican restaurant. Get your fat asses over to Cracker Barrel because nobody wants to see your smug ass, teeny weeny, pink arm, big gut around. Nobody wants to see that. No one.
Okay, did you get all the poison out? Was that cathartic for you, Jenny? I mean, yeah. Next time I go into Maria's on the north side, I'll ask him if I'm a triple Trumper and a honky dude. So, am I still welcome to come enjoy a margarita? I think they'll welcome me with open arms. Boy, oh boy, that was something. For more on this and related matters, Christian Toto, host of the Hollywood in Toto podcast, TOTO, HollywoodInToto.com. Christian, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. She sounds like a delight.
Yeah,
she sounds like a treat. You know,
boy,
yeah. There, by the way, I found that rather interesting, but
yeah, body shaming, stereotyping, all the taboos. Mm-hmm. But I guess what's in the direction of triple trumping honky dudes or honkies. I guess generally speaking, all bets are off. But yeah, it'd be fun to go over like window treatments, throw pillows with her. Yeah,
yeah. I'm sure. If you have brunch with her, within 8 seconds, she brings up Trump. You just know it. You just know it's coming. And then it doesn't end for the next hour and a half. And you're like, oh, my gosh, bring the check. I got to get out of here.
Well, so I don't know if that's particularly indicative of anything other than Jennifer Welch. But the termination of Colbert, more and more coming out, as we talked about last time you were on the show, and you were talking about this, and now it's now more people are talking about openly, like late night television has a real problem, and golly gee, Jimmy Kimmel may be going to Italy sooner than he thought. And but I mean, it doesn't seem like there's any real rapprochement coming from the entertainment industry in the direction of Trump or Trump voters. And let's fold in Howard Stern, who doesn't hate Trump, but he does hate Trump voters who may be on his way out too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think there's a lot of panic on the left, and the people who have been, watching Colbert 24/7, they don't have any other outside news sources. And I mean, that's what that rant reflects. It's just someone who has never spoken to someone who supports Trump or read maybe the Daily Wire or just consumed any other news outlet that doesn't just echo their talking points right back to him. It's really sad, and she sounds like a miserable person. But yeah, there is a shift going on here. There is a reality taking hold. And, for Colbert, I don't feel that badly about Colbert because he's always been on the left, and I don't think he's ever been a giant. But I do feel badly about Howard Stern because I grew up with him, and he really was a rebel and really just redefined radio. Listen, he was bawdy, he was naughty, he was dirty. I know he's not for everyone's taste, but he was the real deal. And just to see him now clinging to the vestiges of fame and basically staining his legacy with every broadcast, it's sad too. But it's really just all about bubble dwelling. Trump isn't perfect. MAGA isn't perfect. But when you believe all these lies and all these cartoonish representations of people you supposedly hate, this is where you end up. It's almost like we should put her in a time capsule. This is the perfect embodiment of Trump derangement.
Yeah, well, and I said too. I mean, he sort of does the reverse. You hear, there's sometimes there's overtures. Maybe they're not genuine, but overtures. But it's not Trump voters. I understand why people would do this, even though I disagree. But it's really Trump that is the problem. Howard Stern does just the exact opposite, alienating 80 million people.
Yeah. Listen, that certainly didn't help his audience. And, we don't ever hear about his ratings. He used to crow about that from top to mountaintop. And now you don't hear that. That's part of the problem, too. And Jimmy Kimmel famously said as he switched from a, wild and crazy comedian to a far left comedian, he said, not good riddance to his Republican fans, but riddance. So he's okay with it. And now he's going to have to deal with the fact that his show is diminishing and his future as a late night host is certainly on the edge of being fired. Who knows? I mean, we don't know the financials behind that particular show, but the ratings aren't huge. This is where they are. And if you want to have a long career in Hollywood, you think you wouldn't chase away half the audience, but some people are okay with that. And I guess let the chips fall where they may.
Now, you wrote recently about some actual heavyweights in Hollywood, like David Simon and Adam McKay, standing up for free speech. Boy, it's about time we've heard these artists stand up for, free thinking and free speech. You would think that would be central to their existence, but it really wasn't for a long time. But now it is again. Why is it again?
It's literally all political. And it's so nauseating to me. Listen, I don't care that Ben Affleck doesn't agree with my political views. I don't care at all. He's a good director and a decent actor. And I say the same for all the different talents in Hollywood. But the fact that this community has stood down for years now, when it has so many attacks on free speech, whether it's the Twitter files, whether it's the Biden administration teaming up with social media for certain censorial methods where you can't say certain things on X, at least on Twitter now we can. I've talked to comedians who say that their work is being censored on big tech platforms like Instagram and TikTok because they, not because they're dirty, but because they target the wrong jokes. And this community was silent, whisper silent. And by the way, now we've got Jewish actors and comedians and talent. They're being silenced too, like Michael Rappaport, and there are, October 7th documentaries that have been under attack.
Yeah.
They don't say anything about that either. It's only when it's political. It's only when it fits their worldview that they pipe up. Shame on all of them, really. It's just shameful.
Got to talk a little bit about what you're watching, recommendations you have as a critical eye and ear.
Yeah, a couple fun movies. One is The Naked Gun. I think it's been out a couple weeks now, but it's not as great as the first one. It has
doesn't have all of that Zucker magic that David Zucker brought to those films, but it is funny. Liam Neeson is well cast, and it feels great to laugh at in a movie theater again. You know, we haven't had a lot of great big screen comedies, and this is an exception. So I hope it brings people back to theaters. And you know, these are the kind of movies that don't cost a lot of money. You think Hollywood would just try to rally around them. So there's that. Also, Nobody 2 opens this weekend. It's a sequel to the 2021 hit, and that one was a surprise. I mean,
Odenkirk. Yeah, it was really good.
Action hero.
It was good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was light. The new one is just the same. Listen, the element of surprise, we didn't know that this everyman was actually an assassin for hire, and now we know that. So part of the magic is gone, but it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's a sequel that knows what worked the first time and delivers again. So I think those are always good things.
Well, I was hoping to laugh when I watched Happy Gilmore, the sequel, some 3 decades later, but they were pretty few and far between.
Yeah, you know, I have very mixed feelings about that. It felt like more of a nostalgia moment than an actual movie. Like it was just like a celebration of why we all loved the first film.
Yeah, it was almost like watching clips from the first one for half the movie.
Yeah, I mean, they got the gang back together again. There's constant callbacks, more cameos than you could possibly imagine.
Yeah,
and you know, and I don't want it's a spoiler of sorts, but it happens right in the beginning of the movie. But the people behind the scenes of Happy Gilmore 2 are bragging about how we brought back Julie Bowen and we didn't go hire a beautiful 20-something actress to replace a 50-something actress. Well, you see what happens to her in the beginning of that movie. A lot of that virtue signaling went for naught. So.
It's a good point. I actually thought the best performance in that film was turned in by Scotty Scheffler, of all people.
There you go. And also, you know, we bring back Shooter McGavin? Well, I forget the character.
Yeah, Shooter McGavin, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he was poorly served, which is a shame because it's a great character. And Christopher McDonald, I don't think he gets enough credit as a good character actor over the years.
He is good. He was great in the original. He is a good character actor. In the dramatic side, or a series too. I was talking about this the other day. Department Q, which is on Netflix, which is sort of a British version of the Danish trilogy of Department Q movies from 15 years ago or so, which are actually quite good. Have you seen the current Netflix series Department Q?
No, but I'm starting to hear a lot of people talk about it, so that'll be on my list next. So I need to catch up with that. But yeah, it's there's so much content out there, and it's my job to watch as much of it as I can. So I feel a little behind the eight ball. I can't catch it all, but I will definitely. That'll be my next Netflix visit for sure.
Christian Toto, host of the Hollywood in Toto podcast, HollywoodInToto.com. Christian, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
And Christian Toto join us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Jerry Boyer for Townhall.com. Conservative members of the State Financial Officers Foundation, from Utah Treasurer Marlo Oaks to Pennsylvania Treasurer Stacey Garrity and others, just sent a clear message to financial giants like BlackRock. If you keep attacking our energy industries, you can't do business with us. That's right. These red state financial officers are standing up for American industry and refusing to let woke finance dictate our future. This is a turning point. For too long, big asset managers have used their power to push radical climate agendas, hurting local economies and devaluing energy investments. But now states are fighting back, defending their industries, protecting jobs, and restoring common sense to capital markets. Your values are finally being defended in the financial arena. No more silent surrender to ESG pressure. It's time to invest in strength, not ideology.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Be prepared for tax changes in 2025. Without a solid strategy, you could risk losing more of your hard-earned savings than necessary. VestGen Wealth Partners can help develop proactive tax plans designed to help keep more money in your pockets. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com for a free review.
Advisory services offered through VestGen Advisors LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and VestGen Advisors LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. VestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
AM 560, The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call it now! Open mic Friday!
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. It is that time of the week, Open Mic Friday. We take your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line with comments, compliments, concerns, criticisms, general crack pottery. We take it all. But we begin, as we do, with turnkey.pro founder David Kolsak, who joins us. David.
So good morning, Dan. There's some really interesting stuff going on all over the place right now, but specifically in Washington, D.C. To begin with, like President Trump has essentially federalized the territory. A lot of people don't know this, but there are 3 districts in the world that have special legal and political status. First, the Vatican. Second, the City of London. And the third, the City of Washington, D.C., all of which have obelisks in front of them. Each of these places have distinct flags, laws, and governance separate from their surrounding territories. Some scholars like to frame them as representing the 3 powers of the world: the religious power in the Vatican, the military and political power in Washington, D.C., and the economic and financial power in the City of London. Trump has essentially not so apologetically isolated one of these special districts in Washington, D.C., and I don't believe that it's for security purposes or an image problem. And then you have got this odd summit between Trump and Putin over Alaska, in Alaska, without Zelensky. An interesting thing to note is that we purchased Alaska from Russia in 1867 for $7.2 million, or about 2 cents per acre. So that was a deal. Also, the date of today, August 15th, is coincidentally the exact anniversary of the U.S. moving off of the gold standard, moving us into the fiat currency that we use today. What I'd like to know is what they're really going to talk about at this meeting. Could it be talking about Ukraine? Yeah, sure. But what about trade routes, shipping routes? Is there a new era between the U.S. and Russia? They could literally bypass NATO and take the entire European bloc out of the picture. So that's something to keep your eyes on. So going back to the federalization of D.C., first Trump takes federal control of the D.C. police for 30 days. He deploys the National Guard to secure D.C. The Secretary of Defense has named a specialized military units to stand by, and these specialized units are supposedly having 600 members, and they could be deployed within an hour at a moment's notice. So why would you need that? And then Trump notifies the Smithsonian that he'll be reviewing their collections. Now, why would he make that kind of request? Maybe it's for a cultural or a historical significance, a presidential tradition, or a personal interest, or some special exhibit. I've also heard that there are tunnels underneath the Smithsonian that supposedly store lots of artifacts, like the ending of Indiana Jones, where they put the Ark of the Covenant. So that was funny. But it turns out that there actually are tunnels underneath the Smithsonian's buildings, and they're primarily used for utility and logistical purposes. The tunnels connect the various Smithsonian museums, such as those along the National Mall, to facilitate movement of staff, supplies, and artifacts between facilities without disrupting public spaces. So this means that Trump will have access to the Smithsonian tunnels beneath the National Mall, while it also appears that they have their military presence and a full control of D.C. So the tunnels could be used to mask the movement of troops or perpetrators or equipment or criminals, whatever. I find the timing of this, Trump's conducting a comprehensive internal review of the Smithsonian museums at the same time as he's deployed the National Guard, to be a little suspicious, to say the least. And combine these moves with the grand juries being impaneled just a bit ago, and you have the makings for some real interesting soup. So let's say that within the next 30 days, the Department of Justice begins to arrest some of these big-name politicians, and there could be some civil unrest. Just yesterday it was revealed that the NSA Director Admiral Rogers called out Obama's intelligence heads for rushing the Russia hack of the ICA. That was back in 2015. And then DNI Clapper responded and said everyone needs to get in line and follow procedure, and just say that the Russia hacked the election. That's treason. And Admiral Rogers was onto them the entire time. He knew that they were making up the intelligence and creating a false report in an attempt to overturn that 2016 election and overthrow a duly elected POTUS. The document that Tulsi Gabbard released proves that Clapper, Comey, and Brennan were knowingly falsifying the intelligence for their own treasonous agenda by the order of Obama. When all said and done, Admiral Rogers will go down as a hero. He knew that the intelligence community was up to, and he warned Trump about it at Trump Tower on November 17th, 2016. Trump knows this and all so much more. I hear that Brennan has fled to Switzerland, maybe, and everyone's lawyered up. So they look as guilty as hell. So I'm hoping that someone gets arrested. Maybe it's just wishful thinking that all of this is a well-planned operation, but it sure looks like something's up. And it's not just about cleaning up a city from crime. It's cleaning up the swamp, which is deep, smug, and deserving of some big justice. So they deserve the gallows. So we'll see, and have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you, David Kolsak. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line on this Open Mic Friday. Let me throw something else into the mix before we get to the calls, just real quick. Just maybe stir the pot a bit. Jasmine Crockett, is she doing some kind of tour, or was this like some special guest at a town hall? Listen to this lineup. Jasmine Crockett, fake eyelashes, Spice, social Spice Girls, Don Lemon, and the kicker, D.L. Hughley. I think D.L. Hughley, you know what I think? Oh, that's the guy that Jesse Jackson bought his house to give it to Karen Stanford, his mistress, out there in L.A. Remember that? Remember that little wrinkle? So I folded in a Jesse Jackson Sr. reference, too, on top of it. Listen to these goofs.
You guys know what happens at conservative events. Grindr blows up. It goes offline. And so all of everything that they preach about, every accusation is a confession.
Yes.
Yes.
You know what's so funny to me? Where do the highest number, not talking about percentage-wise, the highest number of registered sex offenders, where do they live?
Red states.
I'm about to say Texas. the South.
Texas.
Texas has...
Uh-oh, Congresswoman.
Texas has... almost 80,000 Not my registered sex neighbors. offenders.
Okay. So Texas arrests sex offenders? That's a good thing, right? And Don Lemon is outside of conservative conferences trolling gay Republicans or something? What was that part? That's a bizarre crew. I think actually, by the way, the highest number of, if D.L. Hughley was trying to make this point that somehow red states are magnets for sex offenders, the state with the highest sex offender registration per capita is actually Oregon. But, okay. Anyway, there's some of the intellectual firepower on the identitarian left for your enjoyment. Sarah in Glenview, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, hi. You get the distinct sense that governors in states like New York, California, Illinois, they just don't care that their unhappy citizens are fleeing like rats from a burning ship because of crime and taxes, because they're counting on backfilling the population loss with the illegal bodies. Remember what Pritzker, his quote, "You come from my people, you come through me."
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thanks, Sarah. Justin, Southside.
Hey, I'm just wondering, what does this have to do with Ghislaine Maxwell getting off on work release?
What does what do? What does what happen?
Well, I mean, you guys are so upset about the latest QAnon Obama scandal. Like, you still haven't finished Hunter Biden's laptop. Now you're opening up this new Obama thing. But meanwhile, this is all a distraction about Epstein. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. And how long are you going to lie to your listeners and string them along on like, oh, there's going to be possible charges here and that? If you had something, you would have charged it already. But no, instead we're sitting there, we're watching Ghislaine Maxwell, a convicted sex offender, get off on work release as Donald Trump is on the Epstein list and he's trying to protect himself.
Is that right? And that wouldn't have come.
Right.
And that wouldn't have come out and that wouldn't have come out before when they were in charge. The Biden administration wouldn't have brought that out against Trump.
Well, it did come up before, but you know what? We were actually prosecuting Trump on actual other crimes.
Oh, and so you didn't want to do the fifth prosecution. You just wanted to stick with the first four.
Well, we figured maybe 34 felony convictions would wake up the American people. But if it takes, him pailing around with the sex offender to wake people up, then, there's a reason you were not talking about this, Dan.
I'm talking about what?
Talking about Epstein and Trump. And
I've talked about it. I've talked about it extensively. Can you exercise some impulse control? Listen, Justin, you ankle biting bedwetter.
Oh,
exercise some impulse control, and I'll have a conversation. Don't talk over me like a child.
Oh, Jesus. Well, stop wearing stupid hats like a child. Jesus, who dresses like that? But anyway, go on.
Boy, I mean, the zingers. Boy, now you've really cut me to the core. I'm so hurt.
Seriously, you look like a 3-year-old playing cosplay catcher for third base. But seriously, come on. Like, what do you...
Keep going. I want you to exhaust all your material. I know you've worked it up. Go ahead.
Nah, I'm good. I'm good. If you've got a point, make it, please.
Justin, thanks for joining us, and please say hi to Joe and Eileen Bailey for us. Thanks so much. You and Chuck Schumer and the Baileys and your Epstein conjecture. That's fun. Justin, please do call back, but get back with your writers and work up some more bon mots to offer up about my wardrobe or anything else, and then we'll have a go of it. Bill in Waukegan.
The whole that they're meeting and stuff like that, I don't believe what Mr. Kolchak said. As far as like my thoughts on it is that it's like
Bill? Did we lose Bill? Uh-oh. Oh, all right. Well, Bill, call back. I don't know what happened. We had you, and then we didn't. Owen, Willowbrook.
Hi, Dan. Hey, Dan, I heard a rumor that Pritzker wants to join the Washington Police Department so he can have a sandwich thrown at him.
Yes, I saw that Babylon Bee story. Mentioned it earlier. Thanks for the call, Owen. Yeah, referencing the former DOJ employee who threw a sandwich at a law enforcement officer and is being prosecuted for felony assault. Got it. Very good. Matt, Southside.
Hey, good morning, Dan. I wanted to mention that lady you played, that celebrity. I think she might be the reason you're single.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a profile, yeah.
And now that I just heard Justin, he's talking about you wearing your hats and being some kind of baseball catcher. If you ask me, he sounds like a catcher.
Zing. Nice rejoinder. Gosh, I wish I would have thought of that. Yeah, I'm wearing a golf shirt and a hat because, after the show, I'm going to go play golf. But, hey, okay. I'm happy to take, fashion advice from Justin on the South Side. Nick, Northwest Side.
Yeah, thank you. I was telling the screeners a call about two experiences I've had. One very recently, as of yesterday, of knowing an older woman. Well, I'm an older guy, so who has each one has a daughter. About a year and a half ago, I was living in a building for about 9 years, and the older woman who owned it, and I had a room there. That was it. But she was very nice, and I had cheap rent. I did work around her free of labor, so it was a mutually great relationship. But I had no doubt in that case, looking back at it, that the help I was supposed to be getting in to not have to, as a disabled person with bad feet, bad knees, and abdominal hernia, to be picking up her mother towards the last maybe 3 months of her life out of the 9 years I lived there. But to pick her up and put her on a toilet and then pick her up, take her off, it was just too much stress. I couldn't get any help. But so that's one case where nobody came through to help the person because I was there. As of yesterday, this other lady, her daughter, who lives in Missouri, hasn't seen her mother, I believe, in several years, and doesn't know that the way her mother just looked by looking at her when she came to this one club that including that other woman I was just talking about, that we would meet.
Nick, I'm having trouble following where this is going.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you have family, if you think you have family that you can rely on, you're right. If you think you have family that you can rely on, don't be so sure that when there's money involved. If you have a very good friend that you would trust to give the keys to your place when you go on vacation or watch things or take care of your cat inside, try to have them watch it, keep track of what's going on, because more and more there are people getting hurt and not being given the care they should be getting because they can, the children can get away with it. And once a person dies, and then with time, everything just goes away, and the money, of course, is being used by someone else. So, yeah, You're right. Thank you so much, okay?
Thanks, Nick. Okay. Jerry, since I mentioned golf, Jerry in Milwaukee.
Yeah, good morning, Dan. I'm a serious golfer like you have been for many, many, many years. Mm-hmm. And I'm also a gentleman who likes to hold the door open for women still, and I only go so far, however. My question is, what do you think of when you see on the golf course these young couples and the guy is carrying both bags? Do you, in the words of Dan Proft, are these guys waiting for the merciful finger of death to tap them on the shoulder?
They're just doing time. The nine and dine, the nine and dine routine. That actually doesn't bother me. Does that bother you? Like a guy carrying his wife's bag or whatever?
Well, when I see him carrying it all over, I'm thinking, I thought women were supposed to, they're on the golf course. This is golf.
Well,
you carry your own bag.
You could get a little carry bag, but no, it's okay. That doesn't. Okay. First of all, they're out walking. That's good, which is the way the game's supposed to be played. Secondly, the guy is not with using pull carts, which I don't like.
Yeah, me neither. I walk and carry yet all the time.
Yeah, so no, I don't. That doesn't bother me. That doesn't. I don't mind that.
Okay.
I don't mind.
All
that.
Right.
Thanks for the call. And I try to think golf should be a game that strengthens the bonds of relationships. It's a part of its essence, and so the nine and dine stuff, not for me, but I can appreciate it. That doesn't, we have that 9 and dine at Olympia. It seems quite popular. Not so much against with the husbands, as far as I can tell from some side conversations, but nonetheless, they do it. John in Milwaukee.
Yes, for your previous caller, Justin, complaining about your hat, and they're the ones wearing the vagina hats, and they're the ones who are still complaining about Trump and the Russian collusion how many years later. Unbelievable stupidity. I wonder if that person has ever smiled in their life. and they should be checked out for TDS. Thank you so much, Dan.
Thanks for the call, John. Yeah, I mean, it really does. I mean, that's why it's fun to get a call from someone like Justin because, we play clips of it, but these are like the professional propagandists that are on, CNN or MSNBC shows, and so they're almost paid to be over the top, or they're politicians that are trying to appeal to people, but they're trying to appeal to the Justins of the world. These are the people that are going to town halls and demanding that Democrat, neo-Marxist representatives do more, any means necessary. Be willing to hurt and be hurt physically. They're the ones who make rationalizations for people who, firebomb churches or pro-life organizations, business offices when they get a Supreme Court decision they don't like. Because you heard the discussion. You can't have a discussion with them. He just rattles off 4 talking points, which are rooted in conspiracies, and he doesn't want to get into any depth about anything. And then there's, calls you names when you try to either talks over you or calls you names and he tries to respond. That's who you're dealing with. These are intellectual lightweights. I mean, lightweights doesn't even. These are stunted people, intellectually, socially, and emotionally. They can't have a conversation because as soon as Trump is mentioned, as soon as they start talking about Trump, the hyperventilation immediately comes, and they won't engage. I mean, they can't go below the surface of the bullet points they got in a Pritzker mailer for the last 8 years. Anyway, we got to get to our poet laureate, Joe in Arlington Heights, the poet laureate of Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, sir. Last week, Thursday, you had an incredible hour where you talked to Robert Woodson, and topics came up about inner cities and some of the things Jasmine Crockett and Eric Holder said. And the parallels to the hatred in Gaza all of a sudden seemed to be real obvious to me. So I wrote a short poem called Parallel Hate. Raise up a child in the way they should go. The wisdom of God's word tells us so. Show them what it means to help and forgive. Everyone is your brother, so help them live. Pursuing the good, the true, and the beautiful, for centuries this paradigm grew. Courtesy and friendship freely offered. Communities grew and greatly prospered. But the power of the inverse is also true. Place the blame elsewhere except for you. Tell all the young skulls of mush. Hating the oppressor is never too much. Muslim generations inculcated to desire. Destruction of the Jews was required. No room for coexistence allowed. Hate no longer whispered, but spoken out loud. This is the parallel slope upon which we now stand. Tribal hatred, the insidious condition of man. The end of democracy daily cried. These parallels can no longer be denied. Soon countless generations will only hear the other is a menace to what you hold dear. America must get off hatred's track. One nation under God, how do we get it back? And that's Parallel Hate by Joe from Arlington Heights.
Very good, Joe. Now go take that dog for a walk. He's been patient.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a 90-pound monster, but he's a little excited. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe. That was a good one. Very good, very good. Boy, that's the talk about the alpha and the omega. You go from Justin to Joe from Arlington Heights. The range of the human condition and gray matter. Okay. All right. The Prime Minister. Oh, this is comments on the. Oh, I thought it was the Prime. Oh, comment. Keith from Northwest Indiana. We've got comments on the. Boy, we got comments on the Irish PM before we even get to the PM. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. I was hoping I'd get on afterwards.
Yeah.
But I was driving by Ogden Dunes just yesterday, and I noticed they've got a guard shack out front, and I kind of think that it's not to keep people out, it's to keep him in.
Very good, Keith. Maybe that'll draw out the PM. Matt in Oak Lawn.
Hey, good morning. Happy Friday. Dan, I didn't know you wore bad hats.
But if you do, if any of the callers out there have an old Joe Bailey's hat, used to be a little bar on 109th and Western, maybe someone can mail one to the 560 and Dan can wear that around.
Yeah, and I'll have to just include his imaginary wife, Eileen.
Right.
Thanks for the call, Matt. Yeah. That's a little Chuck Schumer reference. I don't know if Matt got that. Rolf in Downers Grove.
Dan, you there?
Yeah. Go ahead, Rolf.
Hey, Dan, great show, by the way. I listen to you every day. I listen to a lot of AM radio, and you get the best show out there.
I know. Thank you.
No, I'm serious. I got one question for you, golf related. Do you know CPG?
CPG, Club Pro guy?
Yes.
Love Club Pro guy.
Genius, isn't he?
Yes.
Absolutely genius. If anybody's a golfer and understands golf, you got to watch him. He is unbelievable.
Thanks for the call, Rolf. Yeah, I've played some of Club Pro guy before, some of his clips before. Some are received better than others. And my tech producer, Justin, is already on the job. He has the famous Club Pro guy instructional on grip pressure. I got some heat the last time I played this. It is very helpful, the grip pressure instructional from Club Pro guy. And I think, and actually I think I saw a new video from him this week and I forgot to pull it. But anyway, maybe we'll get to Club Pro guy. But thanks for the hat tip, Rolf. David in Lansing.
Good morning, Dan. Every time in the past week I don't turn it on, I see it at a relative's house. I'm at Microsoft NBC, as in MSNBC. I see Democrats crying about redistricting. I know people in this district that goes from, like a slice of pie, it goes from Frankfurt to Palos Heights to Crestwood to Oak Lawn, Wayne to Chicago, so the tip of the pie can poison the whole slice. Well, they can take that slice of pizza and stick it in their hypocrite, stupid mouth. Speaking of MSNBC, the one started by Bill Gates, it's like scrubbed from the internet. That MSNBC is Microsoft NBC, and where every fourth or fifth commercial is a drug commercial. By the way, speaking of drugs, why is it? I would bet a lot of money that if you go to a pot dispensary and you did a poll, I would say 95% of the people that visit a dispensary in Cook County is a Democrat. So what is it with drugs, both legal and illegal, and Democrats? Maybe Justin can answer that one. Justin with his hat joke. And by the way, I'm sorry.
Thanks for the call, David. Appreciate it. Jeff in Cedar Lake, Indiana.
Hey, I just wanted to thank you for having Bob Woodson on, calling him a national treasure.
He is.
And him mentioning Paul. If you look in the Bible on who God has used, you look at David, you look at Abraham, Moses. Moses killed somebody. Abraham, obviously David's foibles. But who else does God have to use? I mean, he's got to use us sinners. So I just appreciate having Bob on, and like you said, he's a national treasure.
Thanks for the call, Jeff. Appreciate that. Pass the goodwill on to Bob. Rick in Downers Grove.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Hey, a little aside from what I called for, but after hearing Justin, I thought the Democrats was a party of the college graduate and the intellectual. My question is, why are they so stupid? But anyhow, the reason I called, talking about like the University of Chicago and their financial situation, and that probably applies to a lot of K through 12 school districts that are financially bankrupt. And I can just picture the professors, and I could be wrong on this, but I picture the professors and teachers in their respective lounges talking about the dire situation financially these institutions are in, and in the same breath saying, okay, so we're still going on strike for more money, better pension, and more benefits, correct? I mean, they could care less. The public sector union people and teachers union, they don't care what the situation is. They want theirs, and I guarantee they'll go on strike for more money, even though the universities and the schools are tanking.
Yeah, thanks for the call on that, Rick. I mean, it is interesting. I saw that CPS, they're still trying to figure out how to close this alleged $750 million budget deficit without borrowing. Why not? Bad money after bad money. The majority of the Chicago Board of Education demanding the school district's budget include a $175 million municipal pension payment and a loan to cover it. It was originally presented that the municipal pension payment would be made contingent to more money from the state or the city. And then they said, no, they are first in line. We have to guarantee those payments. No. We're going to guarantee them. And if we have to go into debt in order to make sure that they are first in line to keep this house of cards standing, then that's what we'll do. So that should give you a bit of a mind's eye into how this is going to go when those pension funds capsize. You know, the liquidation of your homes that's happening, for example, very slowly. I mean, somewhat slowly. I wouldn't say very slowly, actually. Somewhat slowly. That will increase in pace precipitously. Other services will be cut. Other structural tax increases will come. Whatever it takes, so long as they are in charge, to make sure they get theirs at whatever expense is required in terms of the imposition on you. You see this play out in every one of these little budget imbroglios that people don't pay any attention to. They tell you what their attitude is, and you should be highly concerned about it. If you have any property here, or if you make any income here, frankly. Lucas and Carrie.
Hi, Dan. My question is in regards, since the subject already came up, I probably would not have called in otherwise, about the grip pressure for the golf club, that it's related to one man holding another man's Polish sausage and to receive a buyout for that. And is that the same grip pressure that would happen with Trump's personal army in D.C. in holding a billy club? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thanks for the call, Luke, because I don't know if they're taking the advice and counsel or applying the advice and counsel that Club Pro guy has for grip pressure to policing. But way to fold those two together. Greg in Elo, Michigan.
Hey, Dan, I have a challenge for anybody out there. Now, this isn't on everybody's radar, but my challenge is, how much has a deep tunnel cost over the last 50 years that they're still working on, and people's basements are still flooding?
It's got to be in the billions. I don't know. Do you know?
Oh, geez, it's got to be almost $1 trillion by now.
Almost as much as the burn interchange. Thanks for the call, Greg. Our vaunted infrastructure. Frank in Tinley Park.
Yes, Social Security. Donald Trump was on signing a bill, and he said there was 1 million people over 125 years old collecting Social Security, some out of the country. I want people to be prosecuted and sent to prison and lose their pensions. How can that be?
Well, thanks for the call, Frank. That was back in the Doge era when they were, digging into the numbers and looking at actual check registers. And frankly, I don't know, and I don't know that it's been made public, how that ultimately netted out and whether some of it was fraud and some of it was incompetence. Some of it was sort of systems that weren't communicating with one another because they're antiquated. I just don't, it's sort of like maybe we need to figure out a way to get, like Russ Vought back on. Maybe we'll trying to get Russ Vought on to answer some of these Doge questions that sort of got lost in the conflict between Musk and Trump and Musk's departure, and Doge continues, but we don't really get the sort of same updates. I'm not seeing as much activity on social media in terms of reporting on what Doge is finding and what these efforts are yielding. So I'm glad you mentioned that. We will try to get Russ Vought on. Nancy Northbrook.
Dan. I just wanted to say, first of all, thanks for having Jonathan Tobin on. That was a great interview, and I read his article on the same subject. But I'm really calling today to just mention Dennis Prager. I haven't heard hardly any of the hosts on Salem News mention Dennis. I think everyone, most people probably know that he had a catastrophic accident after the election. And his birthday was August 3rd, and I was hoping that the radio station would mention it because that was always a big fundraiser for PragerU. And now that Dennis is in is in the situation he's in, I'm not sure PragerU is getting the donations they need.
Thanks for the call, Nancy. Happy to mention him. I tweeted out about or posted on X about him last week. Within the last couple of weeks, I don't remember exactly, but it was apropos of nothing other than his extended absence to say the same thing, that he is, the venerable, I would say, sort of tribal leader here at Salem, and he's just a great intellect. He is a great gentleman, and we miss him. I miss him on the airwaves. One of the few other talk show hosts that I listen to, and he's just been incredible for so long, and it's been an honor to be a colleague with him and bring him in for cigar nights, and so 100% support PragerU, pray for Dennis Prager. I have nothing but superlatives for Mr. Prager. Okay, Chuck and Delavan to close it out. Go ahead, Chuck.
Hey, I'll get my girlfriend's oils changed today at Bonds Automotive in downtown Delavan. Thank you for mentioning my band, Ankle Biting Bedwetters. That was my high school garage band. And a big weekend, it's Venetian Fest. Everybody puts lights on their boats and they drive around. So that's it. Nothing else this weekend.
Thanks for the call, Chuck. And that was such a vivid description, a romantic, vivid description of Venetian. They put lights on their boats and they drive around. Boy, that sounds like fun. No, I'm sure it will be. Chuck, thank you. And thank you for all who called in, including Justin from the South Side. It is now 9 a.m. on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
President Trump is on his way to what he calls a high-stakes meeting. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.